All right, let's get this going. So, Eidolon of Obstruction's a good card, but it's more like a common than a rare. 2 mana, 2/1 first strike, basically no ability. Solid playable, but more of a rare for constructed that revolves around planeswalkers. Enemy of Enlightenment's been a disappointment. I don't like this card at all. Elspeth's Nightmare and Spawn are pretty close, in my opinion. 2 good black uncommons. First pickable, but not broken. Pretty close with Final Death and Mire's Grasp as well. Right around that same good common power level. Elspeth and Spawn. Elspeth's Nightmare and Spawn. Shimmering Chimera is another good uncommon. I think it's worse than the black ones, but it is a pretty good card. If it lives, it's really powerful. You can definitely win a game with Shimmering Chimera. The best common in this pack is, I don't even know. The commons are pretty bad. Probably Daybreak Chimera and Witness of Tomorrow. So we're going to consider these 2 black uncommons, basically, and that's it. No, I don't love blue in this format. I'm definitely willing to play it, but I don't love it. But I think this is Spawn or Nightmare. I think Nightmare is better to start with. We don't know if we're going to be self-mill. Plus, Escape has heavy diminishing returns. So if I was already a black-green self-mill and I was low on Escape cards, I would take Spawn over Nightmare. But pick one, pack one. I think I'd rather just start with Nightmare. Because even if we end up with self-mill, we don't know if we're going to end up on the really good at milling ourselves without that many Escape creatures, or kind of medium at milling ourselves, but with a lot of Escape creatures. Escape, as I talk about from time to time, it's a really good, really powerful limited mechanic, but it has pretty heavy diminishing returns. Every Escape card is fighting for the same resource, cards in your graveyard. So the first Escape card in your deck is really good. The second one makes both the first and the second one a little worse. The third one makes both the first, second, and third one a little worse, and so on. So I don't love starting with Escape cards. That's not to say I won't start with Spawn, just I don't love it. All right, pack 2. 2 cards to consider here. There's Commanding Presence and Omen of the Forge. I think Commanding Presence is substantially better. I think it's a pretty easy choice. Hateful Eidolon and Funeral Rites are solid playables, but nothing special. So we're not going to take a black card to stay on color. So if we're going to take the best card in the pack, it's Commanding Presence. My second choice would be Omen of the Forge, because red-black is probably the best archetype. Commanding Presence is a little more situational. But I think Commanding Presence is a really powerful card. Nothing wrong with taking Spawn over Elspeth's Nightmare. I think they're close. I think Spawn is slightly overrated. That's not to say it isn't good. I think Spawn is good. But I do think it's slightly overrated. But like I said, in pack 3, if I didn't have much Escape, like if I had 1 Escape creature and it was pack 3, I would take Spawn over Nightmare. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I think the cards are close. Okay, here I'm going to grab Alseid. I like this card a lot. It's hard to use your 1 mana on turn 1 effectively and limited. This is a really good 1-drop. It can give you a 2-point life swing if it connects once or twice. And then also it just saves your best thing from removal or in combat. And it's an enchantment creature, so it triggers all those synergies. Alseid is just a really nice 1-drop. There's nothing else in this pack I would honestly even consider. My next choice of this pack would probably be like Witness of Tomorrow's, Mogi's Favor. This is just a really easy Alseid. Okay, now we have a question. Thank you, Sir Billingsworth. I appreciate the subscription, and that is not the question. The question is, do we take a red card, Perforos Intervention? This is a good removal spell. It's not like a broken card by any means. Or do we want to stick with what we've been drafting? Omen of the Forge. Well, that's red too. That's the next best card in this pack. So there's not really any good black or white cards. Bad Breath Cow here is solid, but it's definitely not comparable to Perforos' Intervention. So I think this is a pretty clear choice, actually. Not because Perforos Intervention is so good you have to take it, but because there's no white cards literally in the whole pack, and the best black card in the pack is probably Bad Breath Cow. So yeah, this is an easy intervention. Hey, and look, 4th pick Intervention means red is open. 5th pick, Hero of the Nyxborn. So it looks like there's a very good chance we're going to draft red-white in this seat, given Elspeth's Nightmare was our first pick and we haven't seen any black. And then we got a 4th pick good red rare, a 5th pick red white gold uncommon that's really strong. So this seems to be a Boros seat pretty clearly. As far as the rest of this pack, Omen of the Forge would be my next choice. Nothing to see here though. Hero of the Nyxborn's a lot better than Omen of the Forge if you're red and white. So red and white is a very aggressive deck. It's probably the most aggressive deck in the format. So you want to prioritize your 2-drops. Especially with what we already have. We have Commanding Presence to put on them. We have aggressive cards like Intervention and Nyxborn. So Incendiary Oracle is a nice 2-drop. We'll take as much of it as we can get. So there's no white cards except Revoke, which is a good sideboard card, and this is best of 3. I'm not really hoping to main it. Portent, I only really like with sack outlets. I mean, I'll board it in occasionally in some matchups out of an aggro deck, but I wouldn't main it unless I have like a couple of sack outlets at least. As far as the non-white or red cards in this pack, there's like Funeral Rites, Naiad. These cards aren't even good, so we'll just grab Revoke. Okay, this is another easy Oracle. There's nothing wrong with Leonin of the Lost Pride. It's an overperformer, I think, from how it looks, but it's nowhere near as good as Incendiary Oracle. Oracle just can't be blanked. It exiles escape creatures. I mean, it's just a really nice 2-drop, and it's got that second toughness, so it doesn't die to Mogi's favor. Heroes of the Revel is a fine 5-drop. You get 2 different bodies, but it's still nothing special. You always want to keep your curve down early in drafts, and I would pretty much never take Heroes of the Revel over Incendiary Oracle. Easy Blessing here. Fine trick. Do not believe these cards will matter. Aspect's an acceptable trick. I'm going to move it over the board since we already have a Blessing and a Commanding Presence. But if we don't pick up any more Pump and we pick up another hero or 2, we may play an Aspect of Mana Core. Nothing wrong with putting 1 copy of this in your deck. It's just kind of a playable but also a cuttable trick. Courser is only for like white devotion or white defensive decks. This deck, as you can see, is going to be highly aggressive. Presence an aggressive card, Intervention's an aggressive card. I mean, this is just an all-around very aggressive deck. So, I mean, I'm not looking to play Nyxborn Courser in this deck. Much more inclined to play Flummox Cyclops, which is a very aggressive card. I'm not saying it's going to make it. I'm just saying a 4-mana 4/4 that doesn't block well is way more this deck's cup of tea than a 3-mana 2/4. What's up, Janice? What are we going to take, y'all? I'm going to grab a water bottle. You can think about this very hard pick. When I went to get my Gatorade here, L-Dog, Rachel's little sister, is visiting us from out of town. She wanted me to give the stream a shout out on her behalf. So yeah, Archon of Sun's Grace is totally busted. I mean, this is just an S tier, totally, completely broken every which way. 4-mana 3/4 flying lifelink is already like a really good card. And then the game-winning Constellation ability is just silly. Yeah, we might wheel Hero out of this pack. Maybe Omen in the Sun. These 2 white cards we'd have to get really lucky to wheel. Well, not much for us here, so after the amazing first pick, we're punished second pick. I mean, if we don't get other escape cards and the deck is this aggressive, maybe we play Escape Velocity. I don't love this card, but if we don't see Sentinel's Eyes, I mean, the first escape card in your deck is really powerful. You can just bring it back at will the whole time. Otherwise, there's Second Blessing. We're probably going to play a decent amount of enchantments and stuff because of the Archon. We've got the Presence that we want to protect. So I think this is between Velocity and Blessing. It's still early. You know, we still might pick up escape cards. We might see Sentinel's Eyes, which is better than Escape Velocity, in my opinion. So I think here we'll take the Karametra's Blessing. The Blessings are pretty good when you have important things to protect. Hero's an enchantment creature. Commanding Presence, when we put that on something, it's an enchanted creature, and we can protect it for 1 mana. Archon, of course, is a game-winning bomb. So I think we're happy to have 2 Blessings in this deck. Of course, we're not happy to second pick Blessing, but we're happy to play it. Now, though, we can take another Commanding Presence. So, this is kind of awesome. Commanding Presence pretty much gives you a game-winning creature. But, of course, if they bounce or kill it, then you get 2 for 1, or like 1 3/4 for 1, because maybe you got a 1/1. You can protect your enchanted creatures with these blessings, though. So 2 blessings and 2 presences is looking good. Easy Pilgrim here over nothing. Oriat is not playable in a deck like this. Portent, like I already talked about, only with sack outlets. So right as Ixo queues it up, we hit a Pilgrim, and we can move to the next pick. All right, so now we're looking at the 3 white commons. All 3 of these are interchangeable. It's just what your deck wants. Let's see where we're at. What are we flicking? Pilgrim. Not much. Flicker doesn't look especially good for us right now. Omen, do we want to go wide? We have 1 hero. It's an enchantment for Archon. The Scry is a little more valuable when you have cards that powerful. And Blessing number 3, I think, is pretty good in this deck now. We have double presence. We have Pilgrim. We're going to have a presence almost every game, and then because we have Pilgrim and 2 presences, and then we can protect our creatures. So I think we rule Flicker right out. I think it's between Omen and Blessing. I think I'm going to go with Omen because of the Scry digging up Archon and stuff. But I would play a 3rd Blessing. I think a 3rd Blessing would be totally fine in this deck. Soul Guide for the sideboard. We're not going to play Rumbling Sentry. Windmill Slam, Hero of the Nyxborn. We're probably the only Boros player at this table. This draft is going very well. Hero is a really powerful card. You get 2 bodies, and then you pump your hero, it pumps the body. It's just an all-around great card for Boros aggro decks. Do not believe these cards matter. Grab another Omen. Now I kind of wish I took the Blessing, but okay. These cards don't matter. Which is the Unicorn? Oh, the 5-mana 4/4? Yeah, we could play one of those. All right, we don't have any 5-mana cards. Perforos Intervention is a cheap X spell. You can play this for 3 mana and kill a 4/4. So really our curve is nice and down. We could definitely play a Captivating Unicorn. Sadly, we didn't table anything, though, I don't think, out of that 1 pack. There's a Flicker, but unless we pick up some Apathies, I'm probably not going to play Flicker. It's okay with Omen and Hero, so maybe, but I would consider it filler with what we have. No, we can't splash black. You can't just toss a 3rd color into an aggro deck like this. Our land count is going to be roughly 8/8. So no exciting opens for us here. Given we don't have any other escape, the 1 Underworld Ragehound filling out this important 2-drop slot would be pretty solid, but it's still a pretty weak card. Daybreak Chimera is just a much better card. So while by all means I will play a Ragehound in this deck, since we don't have much escape and we don't have a ton of 2-drops, we're not going to first pick it here, pack 3. Here the right pick is definitely Chimera. Hero is fine, but it's more fancy than good. Daybreak Chimera is a very solid card. You often pay 2 to 3 mana for this for a 3/3 flyer. Yeah, we could have dropped red if we opened Trawler, probably. Okay, so now we're probably going to take one of these red 2-mana cards. Blessing and Omen of the Sun are both fine. I'd play a 3rd Blessing in this deck, but I'm not taking it over a 2-drop, which we need. The question is, do we want the 2-mana 1/1 that sacks? It's a pretty good card, even if you're not red-black sack. Or do we want Omen of the Forge? We don't have much removal, and like I said, the Scry 2 is a little better when you have Archon. Plus, we kind of need enchantments. We don't have, like, none, but we could use all the enchantments we can get, since we do have Archon. So I think it's probably Omen. But don't sleep on Blood Aspirant outside of sack decks. I mean, you sack an Omen, the enchantment that's sitting out, you shoot them or something. It only shoots creatures, not players, but you shoot something, and then the creature can't block, but more importantly, Blood Aspirant grows to a 2/2. Sack the 1/1 token, and Blood Aspirant grows to a 3/3. Blood Aspirant is a very real card. I think the right pick is Omen of the Forge, primarily because of Archon of Sun's Grace, but I definitely think that Blood Aspirant's a good card in this deck, and I'd be happy to pick it up. Alright, here I'm going to grab Blessing. We can search it up with Pilgrim. It's a lot more powerful than Punishment. Punishment is fine. If you're an aggro deck, you can punish their creature and the game before they free it up. But Blessing is just a better card. This pick is not close. We really just need 2-drops, like any of them. Like, Oracles are great, but the 2-mana 3/1 would be fine. I'd take basically any 2-drop. Alright, now we'll take the Lords of Limited Invitational card here, Pious Wayfarer. We have tons of enchantments. We've been prioritizing them. Hero, Omens, Hero, Pilgrim Searches for 1, Presence, Blessing, Omen. Alcide. So Pious Wayfarer should be a nice, strong early drop for our deck. So now, Final Flare would be good, and we could use removal, but we can't take it. We've got to get 2 drops. It's mid-pack 3. We don't have a lot of cheap creatures. We are an aggro deck. I think we have to take one of these 2 drops. The question is which one, and the answer is easy. Given we have double commanding presence, we definitely take Transcendent Envoy. If Transcendent Envoy lowers the cost of 1, 2, or 3 mana aura, that doesn't provide a lot of value. But if you curve out with turn 2 Envoy, turn 3 Presence, hit them for 3 and make a 1/1, that's really, really good. That's a really strong start in a game of Limited. This should be a pretty easy Reverent Hoplite, even though we'd still like to pick up 1 or 2 more early drops. We have the 2 heroes to pump our whole team. We have plenty of ways to target our own creatures, and we want to go wide, and we have a lot more white permanents than red permanents. So we kept our curve down. Reverent Hoplite is just an awesome pickup for our deck. We'll be greatly prioritizing cheap drops from here, but we're not taking an OK2 over Reverent Hoplite. Omen of the Sun, only playable in the pack. Another hero, only playable in the pack, but now that we have Hoplite and all these Omen of the Suns, the heroes are pretty good for us. Similarly, Wrap in Flames, we have 3 different heroes, 3 Omen of the Suns, and a Hoplite. We are going to go really, really wide. So Wrap in Flames, it's a nice one to have in our deck. Make 2 of their creatures unable to block and target our hero and pump our team. Pretty happy to pick up a Wrap in Flames there. This deck is near perfect, except we just need another 2-drop or 2. I mean, look, we have 3 2-drops, 2 1-drops, and an Omen of the Forge. So we're not far behind where we want to be, but we are getting to the end of pack 3. So we really need to pick up like 1 or 2 more 2-drops if we can. Since we didn't get any escape, do we play Satyr's Cunning? Do I already have one of these? I don't think this card is very good, but again, we could really use the early extra drops, and this could make 2 to 3 cards out of our deck. Well, I don't think we're going to need more Omen of the Suns, and Hero of the Games is pretty weak, so I'm going to grab this just in case. I think we're going to play 16 lands, so we're looking for 1 last playable. If we pick up any 2-drop creature, if one of those Underworld Rage Hounds tables, we'll happily play those. But if we don't, I might put the Satyr's Cunning in just to have another early creature. Thank you for subscribing, Wrestling Helmy. Appreciate the support. All right, what we don't need is Glory Bearers. We have better 4-drops in Flummox Cyclops in our sideboard already, so I'll just grab Underworld Flames as a sideboard card. Same thing with Revelers. So sadly, none of those 2-drops came back. So this deck would have been a masterpiece if we had like another 2 2-drops, but we don't. Still a good deck, but it is a little short on early creatures. So I think I'm going to try this one, Satyr's Cunning. Since we didn't pick up any Sentinel's Eyes or anything, we should be able to use it multiple times anytime we draw it. Fade to Karma is the premier esports team in Magic. They sponsor a lot of great Magic streamers like Voxy and Jeff Hoogland and myself and Andre Strosky. And you should definitely Google them or check them out because they're doing a lot for promoting and supporting Magic the Gathering. Okay, so, like I said, I think we want to play the 1 Satyr's Cunning. We have no other escape cards. We didn't get any Rage Hounds. We didn't get Sentinel's Eyes. We didn't get any escape of any kind. So this Satyr's Cunning could easily make a bunch of 1/1s for us. Plus, we kind of want the early drop. I think the deck is really good. I just wish I could cut like 1 or 2 3-drops for 2 2-drops. But we didn't see those. We have a really high power level. Let's get to it. We're definitely not going 10-6, but are we going 8-8 or 9-7? Red early game. Do we have double white? Not really. We're going 8-8. This is the one time I often disagree with Magic Online, and I almost always disagree with them on this. It's pretty rare in a 16-land deck I play anything but 8-8, assuming you're a 2-color deck. Like, if I have, like, 4 cards of a second color, of course I'll play 10-6 or 9-7. But if I expect to need both of my colors right away to win the game, I play 8-8 to maximize my chances of having both colors. Yeah, I know we saw several Rage Hounds in the draft as well, Thunderwunk. I'm saying we didn't pick up any. If I said saw, I apologize, but I meant we don't have any. Thank you, Meister Gregorius. Appreciate that subscription. Thank you for the 6 months of support. Oops, didn't want to see my sideboard. Nah, Yeah, there's not that many 4s. We have 2 Commanding Presence and a Blessing, the Archon. Remember, Daybreak Chimera, if we're stuck on 3 lands, assuming we did draw 2 white, we'll be able to cast. I don't think our curve is too high for a 16-lander. Plus, we have 3 Omen of the Suns and an Omen of the Forge, and if we're stuck on 3, we can scry up land 4 with those. Yeah, this hand sucks, but I'll keep. You'll hear me say that a lot. We're on the draw. All we have to do is draw like 1 or 2 creatures, and this hand is fine. I did, Numat. Would you have mulliganed this on the draw? It's a 16-land deck. I got to assume I'm going to draw a creature. Not a very good assumption so far. Also, what's up, Numat? I often call Numat the godfather of Limited on Twitch. Been streaming non-stop drafts forever, for anybody not familiar with Numat the Nummy. I don't usually mull hands like this on the draw. I mean, there's not a lot of lands in this deck. Like, I got to assume I'm going to draw almost all spells if I keep a 5-lander. That means there's 11 lands and 33 cards. So you're 33% to draw a land, 66% or so to draw a spell. And if you do draw more lands, it only gets higher every time that you'll draw spells. I'm a pretty big loose keeper. Getting pretty hard punished for it at the moment, but, you know, what are you going to do? So, can't kill the Chimera because we can't Blessing their creatures. So for now, it looks like Omen of the Sun and pass. We're going to drop an Omen of the Sun. If I get to trade a token for a Rage Hound, that's pretty good for me. Maybe they'll Omen it, maybe they won't. I'm not going to double block just to ensure a kill here. If they want to play Omen and take out this 1/1, cool, I already blocked. The Rage Hound can live. If they let the trade happen, cool. It's a good trade for me. So the only problem is now they have the Red Omen, so we can't slap these down. So I guess our only real choice here is to wrap. It's not going especially well at the moment. I guess this is what happens when you keep such a loose hand. Hey, that's awesome, Haijin. Thank you for sharing the success story with us. Congrats on the great draft run. Alright, I'm going to pack this one in. See if we can get a better draw next game, or if I don't keep such a loose hand. So, Chimera is revocable. Triton and Rage Hound are not. I mean, Omens really aren't. We didn't see anything besides Shimmering Chimera to revoke existence, did we? Thanks, Loif. It's going to get much earlier soon. The current early starts are only because of daylight savings. But I'm planning to move the stream to 3 p.m. Eastern starts. I never really had the ability to cast Blessing and kill the 3/2. It only enchants creatures you control. So, like, the only time I had a creature out I could enchant, they had mana up and the Red Omen in hand. It's a good point. But if there are Omens, which are the main things you bounce with Chimera, you can't really revoke Omens profitably. I think for game 2 on the play, I'll just run it as is, and we'll pay attention to if we see more enchantments that are good targets. It doesn't take a lot more. But, ooh, another hand that's perfect to lose with. So, I'm not sure if that last hand was a keeper or mulligan. It certainly was very borderline. But it was on the draw in a 16-land deck. This one I would never mulligan. We're on the play, and we've got our 3-drop, and then we can put Commanding Presence on it, and then we can sack it to scry and draw more spells. So, the last hand I think may have been a mulligan, but, I mean, I'm more inclined to keep than mulligan hands like that if they're super close, which may be due to playing Magic for a long time without the London mulligan. It's entirely possible that that hand should have been mulliganed. This hand should not be mulliganed. This hand is keep and lose. We can't just slap Commanding Presence down right now, not into all their open mana. But if we do manage to land it, we have Blessing to protect it in future turns. So we don't really want to play it this turn anyway. Well, I think it looks like I have more non-creatures than I do. Remember, Omen of the Sun is 2 creatures. So you have to at least count it as a creature. You don't have to count it as 2 creatures if you don't want to, but anytime I draw an Omen of the Sun, I'm not drawing a non-creature. I'm drawing 2 1/1s. Okay, so with 2 red open, I don't think there's anything they can do to mess me up here. If they have a second Omen, I can stop it with Blessing. There's nothing that does 3 damage for 2 red in this format. There's just Omen of the Forge. So let's just make sure we leave a white open. I'm not playing Wayfarer. I know that if they have nothing, I'm missing, like, points of damage. But I want to protect this creature with this Karametra's Blessing here. Make sure this Commanding Presence lands. As you can see, they did have second red Omen, but we'll Blessing in response. And we have first strike, so the Death Touch won't stop us. So I'll take a quick look at the creature count, counting the Omens as creatures and all that, when we go to sideboarding. I don't think I have too many non-creatures. I mean, there's 2 Commanding Presence, there's a Wrap in Flames, there's a Blessing, there's a red Omen, a couple of Karametra's Blessings, but I think I've got like 16 creatures or so, like 15, 16 creature cards. But I'll check and make sure I didn't leave myself short. Yeah, 12 creatures plus 3 Omens, so that's 15 creatures. Omens are just creatures. The debate whether you want to count them as 2 creatures or 1 is fair, but they are definitely just period creatures. The white one. I'm not talking about the red one, which is removal. The white one makes 2 1/1s. That's literally what the card does. Okay, so next turn, all my creatures are going to have to attack them. The turn after that, all tap creatures will take damage. So I don't really want to put creatures out right now. What happens if I put out the Wayfarer? It has to attack. I can slap Commanding Presence on it. Then they get to block and lose this creature. I've still got 22 life. A Crow in War is really strong. I think I just have to chill. Especially because next turn, I can use Perforos's Intervention to kill anything they play. And then I can play a creature, the Pious Wayfarer, because it has more toughness than power, so it's not going to die. It's also not going to be tapped, but nonetheless. Unfortunately, they get a 1/1, but no big deal. Right, but 15 is still a pretty good count, Malruz. You're not wrong on the concept. It's just 15 is a good count. Like, okay, so what are we doing here? This is going off. It's only going to hit tap creatures. We're not going to Perforos's Intervention away a 1/1. So our choices are play Wayfarer or Chimera. I mean, they've got their mana up, but I don't really care about this Chimera. I don't need to protect it. So I think we'll just slap down Chimera here. We can't Wayfarer and Chimera, can we? This costs X less, but it doesn't reduce the white cost. If I had 3 planes, I could have. But with only 2 planes out, I have to choose between the double white card and the white 1-drop. No problem. Good suggestion. Wayfarer would have lessened the cost of Chimera by 1, but it would have lessened it by a colorless. And I only have 2 planes. But unless they have something cool to do, I mean, we'll just get our creature back now, so not the end of the world. Although that will take care of that problem for them. Well, we can search up the Blessing, so that's pretty good. And we can play Pious Wayfarer. I mean, there's nothing else really to see here. I mean, they don't have counter mana up. This is the turn. No reason to sandbag these creatures. I think we only have the Blessing left, but that's all right. 3 enchantments. We have 1 Pilgrim. Yeah, our only double white spells are 1 Daybreak Chimera and 1 Archon. But remember, we have Red Omen and 3 White Opens. So 3 White Omens. So if we really need to, we can always use the Scry to find like a second white. Like if we have the broken Pegasus Lord in our hand. Okay, I don't really want to slap down Commanding Presence into all this open mana. I think I'm going to attack. Assuming they don't block, I'll probably just pass the turn to them because... Again, I don't really want to cast things into their open mana, but also if they attack me with this 1/1, I can play Omen of the Sun and trade with their only creature. I don't even really want to do that. I'll just play it end of their turn, probably. So, I mean, I'm missing 1 point of damage, but I think the surprise factor of Omen of the Sun is worth that. So if I play the Omen, I can pump one of these, but unfortunately I don't have the 1/1s to pump into a 2/2. I don't really want this trade. I have Wrap in Flames in hand, and I'm winning the life race here. So we'll just take the 1, and then end of turn, we can play Omen. Yeah, Lemon Lime's my favorite Gatorade flavor by a lot. I don't think it matters what we pump. So they keep leaving their mana up. I don't know if they're going to have anything or not, but I think for this turn, I'm pretty happy to Wrap in Flames. If they bring back the 4/2, that'll tie up most of their mana, and then I can probably land Commanding Presence. Plus, there's a 1/1 and a 3/1 to hit. So I think we want to Wrap in Flames here. The reason for this, it's just a safe play. If they're holding a removal or bounce, they can't really interact, and it's just a good deal. Okay, so it looks like we find out what they were holding. Unfortunately, that messes us up pretty good for this turn. We don't have any ways to pump our creatures or anything, so I can't really attack now because they have a 4/2 with no damage on it. I could not, tried but true. The 1/1s aren't in play yet when the Omen enters play, and you target with the Pious Wayfarer when the Omen enters play. So, I don't really want to block because it's a race we're winning. But I definitely wouldn't mind killing that, especially for 2 1/1s. But I think this is a race we're in a position to win. So let's just take 4 and see what else they're going to add to the board. I mean, this Perforos's Intervention can really allow us to swing any sort of a race. Plus, we have chump blockers. If we end up in a really tight game, we can always just leave a 1/1 back to chump with. So they just keep leaving their mana up. So I'm guessing this isn't going to go well for me if I play Commanding Presence. Kind of not really sure what I'm supposed to do if they're never going to tap their mana. This turn, we definitely can't spend only 2 mana. We want to play Blessing or Presence. I think I want to play Blessing here, like pre-combat on like a 1/1 or something. If they kill it in response, good beats. It's not that important that I kill the 4/2. If not, I get in 2 extra damage. The Pious Wayfarer plus the pump +1/+1 from Blessing. So let's see if they have anything. I don't really want to scry right now. I want to be using my mana. Like, this game isn't going to go long enough, I think, that I'm going to play all my cards before it ends. I don't really care that much. Like, I'm not happy they had the final death there, but it's not a big deal. Again, the goal is to play your cards for the most value, not to prevent your opponent from using things. I'm totally comfortable with the fact that they just final death there. I guess now we might as well chump with an 0-1. No real need to leave this in play. Okay, and now they're out of business, which means we can land Commanding Presence. Life is good. If we pump something else, we're not going to be able to attack with it. So we'll just put it on the 1-2. Pump it with the Wayfarer so that it can attack past a 2-3 for 4 damage. Play the worst card in our deck. Cunning. Hey, what's up, Corey? How you doing today? I didn't put it on Pilgrim because of bounce, because it would only be ever so slightly better if they bounced Pilgrim, because I don't have any more auras to go get. If I had another aura in my deck, I would have considered Pilgrim, since it would be much better against bounce. But in this case, I would just have the ability to pay 3 mana for a 1-2 later. Yeah, that would suck, Dangle. Listen, I mean, coronavirus is the real deal. I mean, this thing spreads like wildfire. So, I mean, canceling mass public events is certainly the right thing to do. I do not plan to attend any, like, you know, Magic tournaments in person. That, you know, maybe the local store that'll have 20 people, but I'm not going to a 500-person event while this is raging. All right, for now, we'll take it. I mean, this looks like a pretty comfortable race. Let's see what they're going to do. So we could intervention here. Do we want to do that? Not super. If we kill the Naiad and they don't have anything, we can attack with everything. And intervention for 2 kills Naiad and still leaves us 3 mana to cast Hero. So that looks pretty good. So let's go and deal 4 to this for just 3 mana. Thank you for being a really efficient removal spell. Perforos' intervention. Now, of course, we'll attack with everything. You generally want to start chump blocking sometimes 1 turn before they'd be threatening lethal if you have a bunch of 1/1s and you're pretty far ahead, because you don't want to die if they top deck a removal spell or something like that. But we don't want to start chumping 2 turns before. So next turn, if we're at 7, I may hold a 1/1 back if we can't threaten lethal. That's all assuming they don't deal with this Pilgrim, because it's making 1/1s. And I mean, as long as we're hitting for this kind of damage and making extra 1/1s, we're not going to lose this game. Let's see what they scried to the top. I said worst card in the deck, not in the format. There's tons of unplayables that are worse than Satyr's Cunning. I do think Satyr's Cunning is pretty bad, though. It's very rare I play that card. I played it because it's the only escape card in my whole deck, and I have a lot of cheap aggressive stuff that goes to the graveyard. But I do not believe Satyr's Cunning to be a good card. So it looks like they're dead. They have a blocker, and I have 6 attackers. I think they're dead. Well, it's certainly better if you get the Lord, but overall, I think it's a pretty bad card, like I said. All right, so did we see things for Revoke that game? We saw Itchy Fish, which is another good target for Revoke. Starlight Mantle, I mean, you can maybe revoke it, but that's not real effective. The turn it came out, it's still going to have hexproof, and then... But Itchy Fish is a good target for revoke. That just sits around, and then you can remove it and free up your creature. Was there anything else? A Crow and War, which is a really good target for revoke. All right, revoke in, Cunning out. Oh, and as far as that creature count, Cunning makes creatures too, right? So our non-creatures were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we were playing 16 creatures effectively. 12 plus Cunning plus 3 Omens. So that's a pretty high creature count. And that's not even accounting for Hoplite makes multiple, Hero makes multiple, Omen makes multiple, Satyr's Cunning can make multiple. So our creature count is actually quite high. But yeah, Revoke is definitely coming in. Just going to take the Cunning out. Revoke's main deckable, but the more aggressive your deck is, the less you want to main it. And, I mean, we wanted all of our hero synergies. Like, basically that slot would come down to, like, Wrap in Flames or Revoke. And given I have 3 heroes and good ability to go wide, I think Wrap in Flames offers our deck substantially more. Like, if you need a playable, you can main deck Revoke. But if you have a 2-color aggro deck with good synergy and a good curve, like, you don't want to main deck Revoke. I consider it filler. Like, it's not unplayable. It's basically I tend to rate cards as like optimals, meaning that like they're almost always going to make my deck. Filler, as in they're playable. It's fine if they make your deck, but you're not like your best decks will cut them. And unplayable, in which case you're very unhappy if it makes your deck. I would describe Revoke as far as a main deck card to be filler. It can definitely make your deck. It's not a big deal. You know, if your 23rd or 24th card is filler, no problem. Your deck could still be very good, but ideally, you're not maining Revoke. All right, no decisions here. Let's play out our combo. I mean, they have 2 red Omens and a Fateful End, so we're hoping they'll just tap out for a 3-drop here. If we get to untap, land Commanding Presence, hit and make a 1/1, life is good. So with 1 blue open, they could have Stern Dismissal, but that's about it. Think we probably got to go for it. Otherwise, we're just playing a hero of the games. Come on, don't have Stern Dismissal. Fingers crossed. This is bad, they're pausing. Sweet. Life is good. Now we've got that 1/1 to block the 3/1, a 3/4 that's pretty tough to deal with from what we saw out of them. And I think it's important to remember what just happened, because more often than not in this spot, when my opponent does have Stern Dismissal, everybody goes, oh, you should have played around it, you saw it in game 1. Look, we're an aggro deck. Adding one of these 4-mana enchantments to the board for turn 3 here was a lot more valuable than playing hero of the games on this board. So we took a risk, they didn't have it, and we got rewarded. Now, you got to remember that, because it's a lot less memorable than all the times they do have it and you get blown out. But people don't just get to have a 1-of in their opening hand. If you just played it straight mathematically, there's about a 25% chance they drew Stern Dismissal. You can tinker the numbers a little bit, because of other things they drew and played, but ultimately they saw about 1/4 of their deck. So, I mean, if there's a lot of upside there, sometimes you just go for it. Itchy Fish is not a huge deal, though, because it doesn't counteract the +2/+2. So if they Itchy Fish this, we get to have like a 2/3. So it's not super effective. Hey, thanks for the compliment, Call Melsant. I appreciate it. Also, thank you for the subscription, Thomas OX9CE. Appreciate the support for my stream. Okay, so now we already are connecting and making it. This turn, I'd rather just drop more creatures, I think. So first, let's attack, see if we connect. And then post-combat, we're going to drop one of the 2 heroes. I think we'd rather put out Hero of the Nyxborn. There's no reason to think they have a Sweeper. Oh, but they could have Red Omen. Oh, but that's going to kill either one, yeah. So we'd rather put out Hero of the Nyxborn. We at least keep an extra 1/1 if they kill it with Red Omen. And there's a good chance they have it, even though they didn't have it necessarily a few turns ago. because they do have Omen of the Sea out here, and they have 2 copies of Red Omen in their deck at least, because we saw 2 in one game. This is an MTGO stream right now. Look, I'm a Magic player. I'll use Magic Online, I'll use Arena. It's Magic that I want to play. So I'm willing to go back and forth depending on what makes the most sense. For right now, I feel like Magic Online is just more what I'm looking for. When the next set comes out, I'll likely use Arena, at least while the cards are new. If they ever get 8-person human drafts on Arena and it stops crashing, I'll likely use Arena all the time. But right now, later in the format, I just feel like I'm happier on Magic Online. Okay, so for now, what do we want to do? We know when this goes off in 2 turns, it's going to kill all of our creatures. Next turn, we're going to have to attack with all our creatures. With only a blue up, it's a pretty safe scenario to cast something. Heck, even if they have a Stern Dismissal here, it's not really hurting us that bad. So I think this turn what we want to do is put Blessing on the hero. If they Stern Dismissal it, we get the hero back in our hand so it doesn't die to the Akroan War, and we still pump our soldiers. If they don't Stern Dismissal it, we can take out that Chimera. And of course, we pump our creatures by targeting our hero, so we get in a nice attack this turn for a lot of damage, kill their only creature. And we don't want to add creatures to the board necessarily this turn. Next turn, we can add creatures to the board because they're not going to be tapped when the Akroan Games goes off. But any creatures we added to the board this turn would have to attack. What's up, Cam? I've only been doing 2 drafts instead of 3 and a little bit shorter of a stream because I'm kind of getting over a sick. The starting earlier is just daylight savings at the moment, though I do plan probably next week to start at 3 p.m. Instead of 5 p.m., so there will be an earlier start. And the plan is to move back to 3 drafts and around a 5 or 6 hour stream most nights. I'm neither looking to shrink nor expand the total hours there. But like I said, I am actually still sick. Like I'm feeling mostly better, but definitely not 100%. So I'm trying to, be on air, while I can have that energy up after my coffees for not too long this week. Like I said, I don't like to be alarmist, and I seem to be recovering anyway, so I'm not super worried. But last week it felt like a flu. It didn't even feel like a little cold. Like I had a fever, a cough, headaches. Like it wasn't great. I get my flu shot and everything, and it wasn't too intense, but definitely wasn't great. Thanks, Dylan. I mean, I'm not super concerned because, one, I seem to be recovering. I don't believe I'm developing pneumonia or anything. A healthy 36-year-old otherwise. Technically, it's probably better for me, honestly, if it was corona, assuming I am recovering, because I don't think you can get the same active virus twice. I could be wrong. But at this point, basically, what can I say? I had flu-like symptoms. I think I'm recovering, and it's probably a normal flu. Could be corona. Who knows? Okay, so what do we want to do? We can blessing, we can pilgrim. We have 2 commanding presence and a blessing, so we have nothing left to search for. Oh, look, I definitely could be wrong on that. We could revoke existence the Akroan War, so it won't end up killing our tapped creatures. Well, there's no reason to revoke pre-combat. What we can do is revoke post-combat after they don't block, assuming our creatures are going to die. So I think even if we revoked Akroan War, this trigger still happens, so our creatures would have to attack, right? So I think first and foremost, we have nothing to do pre-combat unless we're going to play Commanding Presence, and that wouldn't make it much sense. So first and foremost, let's attack and see what they want to do. How do we have lethal? I can't stop them from blocking. Mire Triton's not an enchantment. Neither is the 1/1. So they didn't block. So now if we revoke this Akroan War, we won't lose all these creatures. And if it lives, we will. So I think we do want to revoke Akroan War. And then I'm just going to add hero to the board. Remember, we get back this Transcendent Envoy here. We get it back when this goes off on their next turn, or right now when we revoke it. But, so we're not really scared. But we definitely didn't want to revoke pre-combat, because that just tells the opponent, hey, trade your Mire Triton for our hero. They thought that the Akroan War was going to go off on their next draw step and kill all my tapped creatures. So they took all the damage, rather than trade Triton for hero and the soldier for the soldier. So you attack first. After they take the damage, post-combat, you revoke the Akroan War. Yeah, I mean, look, I don't know either way. I assume the odds that it was Corona were very low. Either way, like I said, I still feel a little out of it. I am no longer running a fever. To my knowledge, I mean, I don't think I've developed pneumonia or any of the serious, like, things that it can happen. I feel a little sick. I feel okay. I appreciate the concern. I'm one to try and behave logically, even with scary things. I mean, whatever's going to happen is going to happen. I'm not even really thinking about whether it was or wasn't a flu or corona or a cold or an infection or whatever. If my fever had went up instead of going away, I would have seen a doctor. But it went away in a few days. I feel like I'm recovering. Everything's fine. Okay, so I'm going to attack, see what they have. They're probably dead. I could have cast Commanding Presence pre-combat, but, I mean, they're almost certainly going to have a removal spell. So the only thing I could have done, maybe, was put it on this hero. They would have killed it in response, and I would have still gotten to pump these two. But as is, they pretty much have to deal with two different of my creatures now anyway, or die. So I think the right play is this turn, find out everything they have and dump out more creatures if they can survive. And then, of course, we can go for the win next turn. So I think we're more concerned with total bodies than size of the body. So we don't have anything else to search out. Yeah, I mostly did last week. I barely left the house. I sat around sorting Magic cards last week, like Monday through Thursday. I left the house a little over the weekend when I was starting to feel mostly better, but... I have, like, seen and taken that test once, Queen. I don't really remember... I mean, obviously, I am mostly an INTP. I think it might be one letter different. I don't really remember the results, but somewhere right around there, yeah. Nope, Bernader. I will not drink a beer that has the same name as a virus. Be logical here. All right, so they're tapped out. Let's just kill them in the air and get to round 2. I don't know. I mean, maybe we could have Chimeraed pre-combat, but I knew I had 2 things to play post-combat anyway. So I didn't really want to go for the Commanding Presence on the hero, because like I said, they had to deal with 2 more creatures or they were dead anyway. And knowing they had Stern Dismissal and 2 Red Omens in their deck, it wasn't unthinkable that they'd be able to, like they did do. I felt like if we just attack, find out what they have, dump out our creatures, and then next turn, you know, we have the Commanding Presence. I'm not saying it would have been wrong to play the Chimera pre. It might have been right. It wasn't super consequential either way, but I'm not sure. So this hand, I think I am inclined to mulligan. With only 8 mountains, we may never see one. We don't have that many white 2-drops. This is a hand on the play that is just not going to fill out. This is a hand where we're very likely to just have an awful game. Alright, a little better. I mean, this hand is, even on 6 cards, is better than the previous 7. But of course, if we don't draw a land, we're going to lose. But at least now we have a mountain or end of plains, so we can cast any of our cards that cost 2 or less. I think we're going to bottom Hoplite. It's powerful, but it's pretty expensive. Chimera could easily come down for 3 mana. Have a good night, Tried. Yeah, I don't drink much beer. I'm not a huge fan. Okay, so do we want to play Omen or Hero? Hero looks better. We still get a 1/1 to block Skirmisher with if they don't have any way to pump it, and we get 3 power instead of 2. Plus Omen just as flash. We can always use that for surprise value on a different turn. No real decisions here, though. With 1 green, there's nothing they can do. If we don't actually, I mean, we're going to Commanding Presence, but the only question is what? The 3/3 first strike can safely attack right now also, but the 2/2 is just going to bump into the 1/3. Whereas if we Commanding Presence the hero, we get to attack for 5 instead of 3, and it's going to be harder for them to block it profitably in subsequent turns. So I think Commanding Presence on the hero is a pretty clear play. Yeah, if they have Repeal, they have Repeal. Again, it's a random uncommon. There's no reason to put it in their hand. Remember, if I put the Commanding Presence here and they have Repeal, it feels like way less of a blowout, but they can still just repeal the Presence, and I'm left with a 1/1 and a 2/2 that's doing nothing against their 1/3 and 2/1. Unfortunately, though, 1 toughness short of living through that, so the grind continues. In general, they are a little bit, yeah, Fathers. One of the drawbacks of aggro is if you have a bad start, it's much harder to recover. Alright, so we want to use 3 mana. I assume we'd rather play Pilgrim than Omen. But we have a Commanding Presence and Roa's Blessing. I'm not sure which one we want to search for. If we go get the Commanding Presence, there's a good chance that they'll have a big enough creature to block a 3/4 first strike or a 3/3 first strike. At least with a double block, and then we won't get through. But we could always just draw Plains and then put it on a 3/3 flyer. If we get the Blessing, we have the ability to clear any big creature they might play. So, not sure whether we should get Blessing or Presence. I'm pretty sure we should play Pilgrim this turn, but I'm not sure which enchantment to search out. Presence is pretty good against red-green. Think I'm going to go there. Now, we don't really want to have to sack Omen to scry up a Plains. Remember, there's 7 Plains in our deck, so we're likely to draw one pretty naturally anyway. And then once we have 1 more Plains, that means we can scry any land to the bottom. I'm not saying there's no shot I'd scry up the Plains for Chimera if I needed to, if we end up in a stalemate. But while we have productive other things to do, it's better to just add to the board. We're in basically a stalemate at the moment. And then we can always do that later should we need to. But if we draw the Plains, then we can scry Plains to the bottom. So now we do have the question of do we want to triple block. We'll lose our creatures, but we're trading a 1/2 and 2 1/1s for a 3/2. These creatures can't really attack or block into these. So if we do triple block, what does our next turn look like? We pass the turn with Omen if we don't draw a land. Right now, we can connect with Commanding Presence on this Pilgrim. So I don't think we want to be blocking here. Okay, so unfortunately we did draw the land, so now it's a tough call. Because we'd rather use 5 mana than 4. Hey, Love Tap. Good games. Yeah, that was fun. So we can use all 5 mana with Omen and Oracle, or we can just land Presence. Now, they know we have Presence. I don't think there's anything they can do for a green mana, but probably they'll be able to untap and do something. So this is an interesting spot. I think since we didn't draw Plains, and we're not going to have Chimera too soon, it's worth it to just get Presence down. I'm also not sure whether to put it on 1/1 token or a Pilgrim now. I think the 1/1 token makes more sense since the Pilgrim's a better blocker. It's not like they have a 1/4 reach out and we need the Presence on the Chimera. If we're hitting with this Chimera turn after turn, we're probably winning anyway. As I say that, they put out a 3/5 reach, so now they've shut down our board, and if we had the Presence on the Chimera, we'd be able to keep attacking. Well, I guess not, because Renata, it's a 4/6 anyway. But obviously I didn't anticipate a Rasta here. have ways to break through this. So for now, just gotta chill. A stalemate isn't the worst thing in the world for us if that's where we end up. Then we're looking to draw a plane. We're looking to draw the Pegasus Lord. We're looking to draw Wrap in Flames. For now, I don't know if they're gonna have something or not, but all these little creatures are doing nothing, just sitting around. So I'm pretty happy to triple block Renata here. I can't just take 6 from it and 4 from Skirmisher. If they have, like, Red Omen or something, who even cares? Chumping means I lose 1. They Red Omen 1, so I basically threw away 1/1/1 to force them to Red Omen a worthless creature. So here I think we definitely triple block Renata. It's a fine trade for us if they have nothing and save 6 damage. If they have, like, Red Omen, no big deal. So that's going to be, what, a 4/8? That's a big creature. Okay, so we can play Oracle and Omen. We can play Pious and Oracle. Don't think we're really getting them with the +1/+1. Oracle and Omen uses a lot more of our mana. Seems like it's certainly correct. Hey, we got a raid from Emily Bags. Thanks for the raid, Emily Bags. I don't know what you do with all that money, but I appreciate you supporting my stream. This is going pretty poorly. Now they're going to get to Galea. So no question we're bringing out Omen. Let's let them activate it first so we don't affect their decision. And then what can we do? I mean, we're not dead on board, but this game is not looking good. We're at 10. We could trade with the 3/2 and the 2/1. I mean, we can't quadruple block Nessian Wanderer. Oh, but these are going to shrink. This is a Satyr, so it's going to shrink. So yeah, I mean, I guess we don't really have choices. We just make the reasonable blocks and then see what happens. We're going to go to 4, but this is going to be a 1-power creature, so we're going to need 2 blockers. That's pretty bad, actually. We might not even be possible to do that unless we top deck like another Omen. I don't know how we're going to win this game. I don't really think we can. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think we can win this game. Did I miss something? Oh, Infuriate. Okay. So we're dead, but I just want to see what trick they played because I didn't know how this Galea was still in play. Okay, so they have a Rasta, War Blessing. Did we see any other big enchantment creatures? Because I don't want to bring in Revoke just to deal with stuff like Warbriar's Blessing, which it's not particularly good against. But it is really good against enchantment creatures. Oh yeah, Renata. Okay. So between Renata and Rasta, that's coming in. Take out this Cunning. That card sucks. We may want Triumph. Their creatures are bigger than ours, and we're going to be on the play. I know our cards are pretty good, though, so I don't really know what we could board out. Like Hero of the Games, maybe? Yeah, we do need some bodies, and I am boarding out another creature card. Oh, that's a good opener. All right, so, you know, like I said, I like greedy ones. I'm going to keep this. If we draw lands, it'll fill out nicely. Okay, well, if we draw a land, this hand's pretty good. If not, of course, we're going to lose. So, what are we putting back? Of course, not the 2 land, not the 2-drop. Looks like it has to be one of the blessings. think Iroa's Blessing probably goes back, because if we get stuck on 2, I want to be able to cast Karametra's Blessing. I don't think I want to put back the hero, because we might end up with 3 lands and no Transcendent Envoy. They might just kill the Envoy or something. I think the Blessing is the right one to put back, the Iroas. This way we have 2 different creatures, we have stuff to do if we're stuck on 2. We can use the Karametra's Blessing with the Envoy to buy a little time. And then if we're stuck on 3, like if they Red Omen or something, or the Envoy, then maybe we have Hero and Commanding Presence. I think Iroa's Blessing is the right one to put back. My second choice would probably be Karametra's Blessing. Land! Land! Hooray! See if they can deal with a 3/4 flyer. If we get to untap with it for the rest of the game, we should be able to protect it. But I can't wait, because I don't know if I'm going to top deck a land. There's not much red-green can have. There are cards, but there's not much. So hopefully they don't have anything this turn. And then from here on out, we should be able to protect it. So I do want to leave 1 open. So I think this turn, just going to play Hero, leave a white up so I can protect my Envoy if I want to. Because they may play Warbriar's Blessing or Iroa's Blessing or something now. So I definitely want to make sure I have the 1 white mana available. And if I play Alcide and leave 1 up, then I have to not spend these other 2 mana. Whereas if I play Hero, I can just leave up the 1 white, protect Transcendent Envoy with Karametra's Blessing. So we definitely are making 1/1s. So if we're not going to attack, we may actually want to like block this with a 2/2 and 2 1/1s and make the trade. Our other option is what? Attack with everything, and then we can Blessing the Hero. I don't think we want to do that. I think we want to play the grindy game while we're riding our 3/4 to victory, and we're protecting it with the Karametras and the Alcide. So I'm going to go ahead and triple block the 4/4 trample. Not a great trade, not a horrible trade, but at the end of the day, we're not taking damage, we're not allowing Galea to turn on, and we'll just keep clocking them. Making 1/1s, and protecting this Envoy to the best of our ability. Thanks for that subscription, Crips. Very much appreciated. Oops, that's not the white 1 mana card I wanted to cast this turn. Appreciate the 9 months of support, Crips. All right, nothing really productive to do here. We can start chump blocking, but not at 16. Let's take 1 hit and see what else they have. So we're definitely going to Red Omen end a turn. The question is which. Galea is a little scarier, but not really on board right now. But next turn, if I don't draw anything, I'm going to sack the Omen and Scry, and that's going to be pretty valuable. So we definitely cast Red Omen here end of their turn. The decision is which of the two toughness creatures to kill. The 3/2 that can pump the team, or the Galea, which is a little scarier. Ultimately, I think the Galea is scarier, so I'm going to go ahead and try and kill that. Nothing has changed. We're not attacking on the ground. We'll just ride this Transcendent Envoy to victory. This strategy known as Protect the Queen. In this case, Protect the Envoy, I guess. The transportation of goods, always valuable. So let's see. Can't kill it in response, but we're going to save our Envoy. The question is, do we do it with Blessing or do we do it with Alcide? I think we do it with Alcide, because if they play Arasta, we might need Blessing and the Envoy to eat the Arasta and keep the game going. I don't think we need the Alcide, so I think that's the one we want to save our creature with here. The Blessing's doing the damage, right? Yeah, granted the creature and the Blessing are red, but it's just a good thing to know anyway. So I'm holding on to the Blessing instead of the Alcide because we saw Arasta last game. It's a 3/5 reach creature. So I have a 3/4 ++2/+2 means I can take out Arasta, but Alcide wouldn't allow me to take out Arasta. It would just allow me to attack past it one turn. Okay, I think exiling that is pretty strong, and there's no reason to be taking 5. These 1/1s aren't doing anything for us. So let's go ahead and put 4 power on their 5/4, including the Incendiary Oracle, which will exile the Typhon. No changes in the plan. Now we can just play Pilgrim, leave our 1 white open to protect our Envoy. Go search up Blessing or Presence. I think this time... No, we actually want Presence since that makes it lethal next turn. And there's very little they could have because Blessing gives Hexproof and Indestructible. So we can save this in response from anything they could have. Like a Warbriar's Blessing. So that's going to be a 5/5. So this works out incredibly well for us if they have nothing. They'll concede if they have nothing. Because it is a fight, right? Oh, Hexproof, so the fight fizzles. Who knew Hexproof was actually a drawback? Hey, we got a raid from one of my favorite MPLers, Kavartek. Thank you, Kavartek. Appreciate the raid. How are you doing today? Your stream was pretty fun to watch yesterday. It was the first time I tuned in. For anybody not familiar with Kavartek, like I said, MPLer, had a great year last year. I think pretty new streamer, so give him a follow, check him out. Okay, so what are we doing here? We could bring in Flicker to use defensively. We saw they have Warbriar's Blessing and Aroa's Blessing. So we could bounce their creature in response to those auras and then fizzle those. What does Flicker do for us? We can move a Presence. We can flick a Hoplite. We can flick a hero, and then we'll pump the rest of our team, but that's probably only really worth... his name is his last name. His real name is Chris and Kavartek, is how I assume it's pronounced. Correct me if I'm wrong. Yeah, we have our own Blessing, so Flicker does a few decent things for us. We don't really have much to board out, though. I mean, all of these cards are quite powerful. Wrap in Flames, maybe we could take out. They don't have 1 toughness creatures, but they do have big green things. But it is kind of ambitious on the draw. I think we'll... No, but it's so good with the heroes, and I have 3 heroes. Thank you, Voxel. Appreciate that. Yeah, we do have a Pilgrim to flick, too. Flicker would be good here. I do want to bring in the Flick of Fate. I just don't know what we could even take out. Our only real options are like Wrap in Flames or Hero of the Games. Or a White Omen. Alright, whatever. Hero doesn't match up especially well against big green creatures. I'm going to try the Flicker of Fate in, the Hero out. Hoplite's not too slow, no. If we go turn 5 Hoplite and make like 4 1/1s, that's just awesome for us. Well, this hand's good. It's missing Presence, but we have 2 of them and a Pilgrim. So hopefully we'll assemble Voltron again. Whoa, nothing from the opponent. Not that we have much to do at the moment, but that's all right. We got the Omen to play into their turn. Looks like an unfortunate draw for the opponent here in game 3. Can't punish them too hard, but again, we can scry, and then we'll probably find more threats. Well, kind of an unfortunate game 3 after a couple good games. Yeah, Wrap in Flames is worse on the draw, but I definitely felt like we might get stalemated against some big green creatures. So I think it made sense to leave Wrap in. I think that was right to take out Hero. The 3-mana 3/2 is pretty weak against a red-green deck. It's honestly pretty weak against every deck, but it's even worse against them than normal. It's a combination of factors, Voxel. Again, I still think Arena's a better program. I always will. But I like human drafts better than bot drafts, but I consider bot drafts acceptable. But later in the format, we know the cards. I don't like the 6-round best of 3 on ranked bot drafts. They don't have ranked best of 3. They don't have... They're just ridiculously long drafts. They don't have human drafts. So, I don't know. And Arena's just been crashing a lot lately for me. I don't know if it's the same for everybody, but this past week or two has been pretty rough whenever I've went on Arena. Okay, I'm going to mulligan this one lander. Thanks, Lapata. I'm a Magic player. I'm not attached to Arena. I'm not an Arena player. I'm not attached to Magic Online, even though I've been using it for 17 years. I'm not a Magic Online player. I'm not an Arena player. I'm a Magic player. I'll use whichever makes the most sense to me. Whichever is going to be the best combination of fun and experience. And, I plan to go back to Arena for Best of 1 ranked when the next format comes out and the cards are new and we can use that beautiful cardboard live overlay that shows us what everything does. But for this format, now that Theros has been out for a while, I think we know the cards pretty well, and I think that the gameplay is just better right now on Magic Online. Mostly just, I have to drop mid-draft if I do best of 3 on there. If I do ranked best of 1, it's like okay, but I prefer best of 3. I also, drafts with humans are nice. I do like drafting against humans. As you've seen, probably, my draft style is pretty big on staying open, finding the colors that are open at my table and underdrafted. And you get rewarded for that a lot more drafting with humans than bots. Alright, so we can attack, but then we're basically telling them we have Blessing. So I think we're just going to chill. I think for watching, Arena looks better, but it's not a huge difference. Except the overlays don't work on Magic Online. So the first week of a set, you wouldn't necessarily be able to see what all the cards do clearly and things like that. So I'll almost certainly be doing my sealed when the set first comes out on Arena for the next set. And then, of course, Wizards changes everything so much all the time. We can't predict the future. What I can tell you is I'll be playing Magic. I've been playing Magic for 26 years, not planning to stop anytime soon. 25 years, anyway. I started September 94, so we're in the 26th year now. You got it, Pudgy Ninja. You got it. Let's hopefully draw a land before too many more turns go by and get back in this game. Okay, game on. So we can pass the turn an Omen, but those 1/1s aren't doing a whole ton. Pilgriming up an enchantment looks like more value. Just go grab another presence, I think. I wasn't planning on doing Hour tonight. A few people seemed interested, but it seemed like most people just wanted the Theros drafts. Well, that's going to be rough. I'm not sure if this is winnable now. We don't have any apathies. I don't know if I can beat a 5/5 flying 1/1 making engine from this board state. I don't know. How can we win this game? Can we? Is it winnable? I mean, I guess I don't care about showing them commanding presence. So for now, I guess we'll try that. I have a Roa's Blessing that does 4. I don't have any apathies. I'm not really sure if we actually can answer that 5/5 flyer. I mean, maybe there's a way we sneak in lethal with Alcide and our own commanding presencing up all our creatures. I think we're a very massive underdog in this game. Oh yeah, we do have Intervention. I forgot about that. Intervention can kill it. So we do have at least a 1-outer. Good call, Fathers. And Nandu. I think Nandu said it first. Good call, Nandu. You're right. It would have been pretty egregious to concede because we have Intervention. Yeah, also the Pegasus rare. If we draw that and they don't have the pump or removal, we just win because then we'll on tap with that. So we'll see another draw step or two. No, we have not drawn Archon once this draft. But that's okay. Broken Rares suck anyway. Gotta use them, because, you know, they're around. Gotta fight with all the tools given to us. But, you know, they're like nuclear weapons, Broken Rares. The world would be a much better place if nobody had them. So what are we gonna do here? Play Oracle, pass the turn. Drop out Omen. I do plan to do some exclusive YouTube content. I was going to get started. I got sick, and with all the travel and sick, literally, I went to the Pro Tour in Phoenix, came home sick, got better, started streaming, got sick again. It's been a pretty miserable month for me. Oh, congrats, Infested. That's awesome to hear. I'm very happy for you. Congratulations to Infested on a new child. I also hope that means you won't have as much time to go on and play me online and beat me over and over again, because you'll have to attend to your new child. So congrats on that. No clue, Al Nash. No clue. Okay, so this is a fight. We pretty much have to pump. And then we don't die this turn, but we do die unless we top intervention or something. But hey, maybe we will. But there's no way, like, we cannot pump here. Oh, the Omen. I could have pumped it with the Omen. Yeah, that would have been better. Not a huge deal, because either way we're not interacting with the flyer. But yes, that was definitely a mistake. Could have used 2 more mana, put the Omen out, still pumped it. Just would have been way better. Somebody hit the punt counter. Even though it's very unlikely to cost us this game, somebody hit the punt counter. That was a bad mistake. So now I can put out the Archon to survive for a turn and chump. They're just getting further ahead. Even if I draw intervention, they're just going to move wings to somewhere else. This game's over. I'm not showing them Archon. Right, they could also sack to go unblockable. I mean, this game is just over. Okay, so did we see targets for Revoke? We would not have won. We were not even remotely close. I certainly should have Omen, but if we had 2 life or we're at 4, and we had the Omen in play and the Blessing in hand, there's no possibility we win. We're still dead on board. Colossus, yeah, the 6/7, Presence, Wings, yeah, they have a bunch of good targets. So let's bring in Revoke. I'm just going to take out the hero again, leave in the Cunning. Yeah, there's no possibility we could have won from that point. Remember, we did miss 2 land drops that game. That was a 2-lander on the draw, we mulliganed, whatever, but then we didn't play land 3 until like turn 5, I think. So hopefully we'll draw a little better here. Was Flicker good against them? I mean, they have Presence, but I didn't see all those fight enchantments. Like, I boarded in last time because we saw Warbrier's Blessing and Aroa's Blessing. Didn't really see those this time. Not the best, but we're not going to mull. Again, just hopefully we'll draw a land. If we get stuck on 3, we can always spend a turn scrying, and then we should find more lands. So, hopefully we'll draw 1 land. Well, with 1 white open, they should just sack for lethal, right, Fathers? What can we possibly do with 1 white mana? If they just sack the wings and give their creature unblockable, we're just dead. Sorry, I forgot to cast the Alseid because I started talking about the Blessing and picturing that board in my hand. Hope I don't lose a super close game this game. But yeah, last time I don't think we could win regardless, assuming they played in any reasonable way. And I didn't want to show them Pegasus, because that might provoke them to board in Plummet or something like that, since it's such a broken card. Cunning is just our only escape card in the whole deck, and we have a lot of cheap, aggressive cards that trade off. So at the end of the day, it's just going to make 3 1/1s or something if we want to. And Flood, even though we've been screwed more than Flooded this draft, Flood is one of the main ways aggro decks lose. All right, so let's see. What do they search for? Presence. So that's going to be a 3/4 first strike. We want to Omen. Let's say they play the Presence and attack. If we leave the Oracle back, we could just Blessing it. But if they do spend their turn commanding Presence and attacking, we could always just play the Omen, chump it with 1/1/1. That's a pretty good turn sequence for us. We don't really need the most value out of all of our cards this game because we have a handful of spells. What we want to do is get ahead on board and press board advantage. So I think we attack. If they have the land and they play the Blessing, we can, or the Presence, I mean, we can always just Omen, chump with a 1/1 on tap, hit them back for a lot of damage. It's a pretty good situation for us. Alright, not too much to see. If they have a trick, I'll mess them up with Blessing, but I don't want to have to send the 1/1s and use my trick first. So I'm just going to attack with the 2/2. Keep building our board. These little buzzing flies, I think the enemy sends them here. They're so annoying. So what can they do with a green and a white? I don't think there's much. They could play, like, Return to Nature on the Presence, which wouldn't be a huge deal. I don't know. Maybe I should have just scryed last turn to be more mana efficient. This is a white Devotion, though, and I do have Reverent Hoplite in hand. So I don't necessarily want to sack the Omen to scry until, 1, I don't need lands, and 2, that I've cast the Hoplite. Remember, do I really want to scry lands to the top or bottom right now? Like, a land is a good draw, but if I don't draw a land, I'm probably drawing spells I can cast. This is that middle part of the game where scry does not have a lot of value. And since this is adding a 1/1 with Hoplite, I figured I'll just sack this after I get the 5 mana, most likely. I don't think it's that likely that they can deal with this with a green and a white mana. There are cards like Gift of Strength, but that card doesn't see a lot of play. Satyr's Cutting is not a good card. I played it as filler because I didn't have a lot of early drops and had no other escape. And if I had more 2-drops, I would have just played them over Satyr's Cunning. And if I had like a Sentinel's Eyes, I still wouldn't have played the Cunning. I would have just done something else. But given I had 0 other escape cards in my whole deck, and I was lacking early creatures for my aggro deck, plus I have 3 heroes, so I can pump my team, so I can, make 2 to 3 1/1s with Cunning, because it's my only escape card, and then pump them all. Because of all of that combined, I decided to play the card. I do think it's a bad card, Professor Dumbledore. I'm with you. Okay, so if they attack, we chump. If they pass the turn, then let's evaluate. I don't think we need to be fancy at this point. If I revoke the command and Omen the Pilgrim, I can just attack with all my 1/1s. This game is over, unless they have a sweeper. Alright, so game 3. Didn't really see much that would change anything. They're green, white, splash, black. We saw they discarded an inevitable end. They have the Arachnar, but we don't really have flyers. Like, we have Transcendent Envoy, which it doesn't kill on the cheap, and then the 1 Daybreak, which we're not going to board out. We didn't see any artifacts. Oh, yeah, we did see the wings. We could consider this. 3 mana 2/2 is pretty bad, but if it ever blows up wings, that's pretty good. Did they have any other artifacts? I don't think there's much to do. I think we're just going to keep this. Looks fine to me. Just bad enough to lose with. Hopefully we'll draw spells. That's a really nice draw. 2-drop for turn 2, and we don't have many of those into our Omen. Pretty happy. By the way, you know, like last game, at the start of the game, we were talking about the previous game, so I forgot to play Alcide. Don't worry about that. Always ask me questions. Don't worry if it messes me up. I mean, if I ever stream like an arena, you know, qualifier or something, you know, like something really like special or whatever, then maybe we'll talk about it. But as a whole, don't worry about asking me questions. You know, this is content first, competition second. So definitely don't sweat stuff like that. No real decisions here. We're not going to use 1 mana instead of 3. Just Omen ended their turn. Thank you, Vampiric Frog. Appreciate the support. Now the question is, do we play Blessing? We would love to Blessing any of our cards and kill that 1/4. What can they do in response? Libation's not going to work. Mire's Grasp is a sorcery speed. Final Death, their mana short. Drag is double black. Is there nothing they can do with this mana up in this whole format? Return to Nature doesn't work. My creatures aren't enchantment creatures. Mystic Repeal doesn't work. Eat to Extinction. Yeah, that would work, but that's rare. Black Intervention, also rare, but yeah. Well, it's not a fight. If they have a pump, they have a pump. It's not that big of a deal. So I think the only things they can really have that'll make me regret this are rares. So I think we want to go for it. And again, if they do that, what are they doing? I mean, they're killing a 1-drop. I mean, they're also saving their 1/4, but it's not like they get to use some common. Like, if they have Gift of Strength there, the 4 damage stays on it. So we still get to attack with both our creatures. And then they can trade their better creature for one of our 2/2s or take 4. It's not that bad for us. Okay, what do we have for this turn? We could Intervention that plus Omen. We can Wayfarer plus Omen. I don't mind them trading their 1/1 Death Touch for one of my 2/2s. I think we're better off just maximizing damage here. And then hopefully we can finish them next turn with the Intervention. So they can trade. That's fine. And then if they play some big creature, we have the Intervention. If we can lethal them with it, all the better. I don't think there's much of a reason to miss damage now, though, at this point. So we'll pump one of the creatures getting through. And back to you, opponent. I probably should have played the land first and had a white up. Oh, no, I couldn't. I cast 2 white spells. Okay, sorry. Nothing I could do there. All right, they're probably dead. Time for some counting because this thing has trample. So that's a 5 trample. That's putting them to 4 effectively. And then they could block like a 2/2 and a 1/2. So it looks like we're 1 point short of lethal. So is it actually lethal with Blessing? Let's say we play Intervention for 4 and we Blessing it. So that's 6 points of trample. They go to 3. They can effectively soak up 2 here with a 1/1 and 2 of that with the 1/2. So they can stay alive at 1 life. But that involves the 1/2. The only way the opponent cannot be dead, it's not lethal, it's 1 point short if they put the Hoplite on the Intervention, I think. Oh no, because then I just Blessing something else maybe. I don't know, whatever. So I think here, if I understand this board right, I think we either have Xaxes or the only way that they can live involves 1/1 on 2/2 and 1/2 on 4/1. If they go 1/2 on 4/1, they take 2, 6, and then plus 2 is 8. Yeah. So we have lethal if they do anything but exactly 1/2 on 4/1 trample and 1/1 on 2/2. If they make that block, we're 1 point short of lethal, but then they're chump blocking the 2/2 with the 1/1, and they're putting their 1/2 on our 4/1. So they're going to have no creatures, we're going to lose nothing, and they're going to go to 3 life. So what we're going to do here is Intervention for 4. If they make any block, I think, of any kind, except exactly Hoplite on Intervention token and Human Soldier on my 2/2 Human Soldier, then they're dead because of the Blessing. If they make exactly that block, we can't lethal them, but they finish this turn at 3 life with no creatures and we lose nothing. So this is great for us. Yeah, they might read that I have Blessing here because I left the white up and didn't play the Intervention for 1 more. But again, if they figure that out and they make that exact block, what's the end result? They have no board. Like, you see now they take 2 trample, they take 6, so they go to 3. They lose both their creatures, and we lose nothing. So, like, they can play around Blessing, and we've telegraphed Blessing, except who cares? They have no board. Unless they have Shatter the Storm, Shatter the Sky, the game's over, right? So here's the rule for when you're telegraphing cards. If your opponent can't do anything about it, you don't mind telegraphing it, right? If we would have played the intervention for 1 more and not telegraphed the Blessing, their blocks wouldn't have been that horrible, and they wouldn't have died this turn. We were going to win that game, most likely, no matter what. But who cares if we tell them we have Blessing if they can't do anything about it? The block they made is the same as us lethaling them, unless they untap and shatter the sky. So, good start. First draft, first trophy, 3-0, not bad. Let's hop into 1 more draft tonight. Like I said, it's going to be a 2-draft night. We're going to do 1 more and play it all the way through. Good point as well, Real Milkman. I mean, don't get me wrong, they're at 3, so if we have to Blessing for Indestructible, we untap and put them to 1. But we also have an Omen out to sack. Like, we're in a pretty comfortable position. I telegraph cards as a bluff when I need to win, but not to mess with the opponent, kill attack us. I would only do it if I thought I needed it to win. Yeah, Blessing would give Indestructible, but we didn't have any creatures out with 3 power, and the +2/+2 goes away. So if they did Shatter, we can Blessing the 2/2, and then on tap attack them to 1. We could use the White Omen for Scry during our upkeep. So we didn't have lethal through Shatter, but again, they didn't have double white out. They're a creature deck. It's a rare we haven't seen. And it's the only card in the format that could have gotten them back in the game after that turn. So I wasn't exactly too worried about it. Yeah, I would play some Pauper Cube. Pauper Cube's probably fun. Yeah, I definitely watch Ham TV. Kyle's awesome. I'm a big fan. I watch streams a decent amount, not a ton, but I'm like, when I watch them, I'm very rarely active. I mostly put on streams when I'm testing, playing Magic. So, like, I'll be playing standard queues, and I'll have a limited stream on in the background. And that's why, like, I'll be talking about all these streamers, but you don't, like, see me super active in their streams. It's because usually I'll put on Kyle, or I'll put on Voxy or Datsy or whoever, and then I'll sit around playing my standard matches to prepare for whatever tournament. Kyle's very good. Kyle is easily in contention for best limited player of all time. It's only lack of fame that prevents him from getting brought up enough, which is absurd because he has 4 Pro Tour top 8s, including a win. Granted, they were all way back in the day. But he's somebody who's just consistently, quietly, before streaming, leading the trophy leaderboard, second, third, whatever, all the time. He's very, very good. Kyle Rose. I always tell this story. My very first Pro Tour, London 1999. I'm 16 years old. Literally, my 16th birthday was like the day of that Pro Tour. I was 15 when I queued for it. Kyle Rose won that Pro Tour, first place. And of course, it was a booster draft Pro Tour. All right, so second draft. Let's see what we're going to do. Hopefully it'll go as well as the first. We definitely found the open deck in Boros there and drew pretty well and got the trophy. That was sweet. Here, there's only 2 cards to consider. There's the best card in the pack on power level, which is Drag to the Underworld. And then there's Entrancing Liar, which is a good card. Not as good as Underworld, but it's colorless and can go into any deck. So I don't know which of these 2 we should take, but we really shouldn't be considering anything else. Ignatic Incarnation here is cool, but it's a gold card. It's a build around. We're not going to take it over Drag or Liar. And One with the Stars is fine, but it's definitely worse than Drag. The commons aren't great. Omen of the Forge probably my favorite of them, but they're all pretty bad. So Drag and Liar are the only reasonable picks here. So I'm not sure. I think Liar is certainly worse than Drag in a black deck. If I was black, there's no way I would take Liar over Drag. But Liar is a good card, and it's an artifact. So, I mean, I'm not sure which one of these 2 to take. I think it's very reasonable to take Liar or Drag here. Anything else, I think, would be a mistake. I think I'll go with the Liar to stay open. Even though we've been seeing a decent amount of black in these drafts, it is the best color in the format. It's nice to see that you're actually seeing a little black before you move in, but I mean, there's nothing wrong with taking drag. It's a very good card. So now we have another interesting spot. The best card in this pack by far is Staggering Insight. Staggering Insight is a game-winning, incredible card, and it's even better in this format than it would be in most because there's a common Heliod's Pilgrim that can search it up. But it's a gold card. So we know Staggering Insight's the best card in this pack. Let's say we're not taking Insight hypothetically. What would our choices be? Well, the pack's pretty bad. The next best card in the pack is probably Threnody Singer. So I think we're going to take Insight. If there was a card that was one color and pretty good, but not as good as Insight, we might have a tough pick. I really don't like taking a blue-white gold card second, but Threnody Singer is not that good. Threnody Singer is fine, it's a nice card, but it's not even as good as a one-color common removal spell, in my opinion. So I think, like, Warbriar Blessing or Staggering Insight would be a close pick here, but I don't want to take Threnody Singer over Staggering Insight second pick. Staggering Insight is just too much better. Okay, so next pack. The best blue or white card is probably like Itchy Fish, but it's definitely not one of the better cards in the pack. So this may be a little bit of a tough draft to start out, because there's Warbriar Blessing and Blood Aspirant, which I think are the two best cards in this pack, and they're both one color, granted not the color of Staggering Insight. And then there's Itchy Fish and like Omen, which are fine cards, but definitely worse than Blessing and Blood Aspirant. I think it's too early in the draft to be that committed to a Staggering Insight. It's a great card, but we only took the gold card early because it was such a weak pack. We don't want to try and force a blue-white deck around a Staggering Insight. It is not a Dream Trawler. So I don't want to take one of these blue commons here. I think what we're going to take is Warbriar Blessing. I think it's the best card in the pack. We don't really have colors yet. We have an artifact and a blue-white gold card. Unfortunate we can't use them all, but I think we want to keep our options open. I'm not going to miss a Blue Omen or an Itchy Fish that much if we do end up seeing blue-white. Well, this pack kind of sucks too. The two best cards, I think, are Maze Warden and Itchy Fish. Given we have no red cards yet, and we do have the Staggering Insight, now we can take the Itchy Fish, I think. Again, nothing great, nothing horrible. I think the best card in this pack is Inevitable End. I think Inevitable End is worse than both Mire's Grasp and Final Death, but I think it's still good removal. But I think One with the Stars is only a little behind it. And we do have the Itchy Fish and the Insight, so I think One with the Stars and Inevitable End are close enough that we should take One with the Stars here. I mean, black's super deep. We're not necessarily seeing great black. We've seen black playables in most of these packs, but I wouldn't necessarily be sold on black as open yet. I mean, look, now there's just a Harpy, and it's a super deep color. Black is the best color in this format by miles. So now, I think it's just Hero. It's not a great card, but it's good with the Insight. I mean, I don't know what else we would take. There's no green cards to consider. There's just a Moss Viper. There's no blue cards, just an Eidolon. I mean, this pack just sucks. Hero of the Pride is basically the best card in it. Another terrible pack. I don't think we want any of these. The Cow is fine. Despite being hard to pronounce, it's still a pretty good card, but I don't think it's great. But yeah, just another terrible pack. I guess we'll take the Memory Drain. I don't know. These packs are actually just horrible. I'm going to have to queue up at the right speed after this draft because I don't want to play against people from other pods. These packs just suck. Like, I feel like we're not seeing good cards in any color. Probably don't want to play Idyllic Tutor ever. I don't really want to play Towering Wave Mystic either, but you never know. No, I'm not going to put Tutor in this deck. Tutor is about quality, not quantity. Like, the time you would play Idyllic Tutor is if you have Kiora Best the Sea God or something. The fact that I have a lot of enchantments doesn't make me want to play Idyllic Tutor. I want to play Idyllic Tutor if I have Kiora Best the Sea God or something just incredible to search out. I don't want to play it just because I have a lot of enchantments. Adding 3 to the casting cost of any of these would make it not a good card. Yeah, that was just a bad pack, frankly. We just didn't see much. So, Thank you, Brutengaster. Appreciate the subscription. So now we can take a look at Favored. It looks like we're going to try and play like a white-blue with Hero and Insight. Favored. We want to be aggressive. Liar's better in aggressive decks. We've got some counters, so if we can kind of go aggro and then we have our counters if we're ahead. So I think Favored will be pretty good in our deck. I mean, the only card that's necessarily better than it in this whole pack is Storm's Wrath, and we didn't really see red. I don't think we're trying to do red from here. I think the Tutor is pretty bad. I don't think I would ever play that card unless I had Kiora Best the Sea God. I don't know if there's another enchantment that's good enough to play it. Maybe, or Heliod. But remember, you're basically adding 3 to the casting cost of an enchantment. Yeah, you get some flexibility, but would you play any of these enchantments if they cost 3 more mana? They would literally be horrible. Even in Elspeth Conquers Death, I don't think I would play it. I think I would need to have, like, an S-tier enchantment. Like, I would need to have Kiora Best the Sea God or Heliod. Okay, so now there's 2 cards to consider. Sunmane and One with the Stars. I think we need the Sunmane. We don't have a lot of bodies. Sunmane wears these enchantments pretty well. We already have One with the Stars and Itchy Fish. Not to say we won't play more of them, but I think Sunmane is more what our deck needs. Now I'm not sure. I like Thassa's Oracle, but I don't think we're going to play a lot of card drawing. I don't think we're going to be a control-ish blue-white. I think we're going to probably be a mostly aggressive blue-white. Thassa's Oracle is still a fine card. I mean, it's not good as a difficult-to-cast 2-drop, but if you ever win the game with it, that's amazing. And otherwise, it is a 2-mana 1/3 scry 2, basically. Punishment might be the better card, though. I know it feels like we're inundated at the moment with all these like auras that kill creatures, but you don't just get an endless amount of those. And I think Heliod's Punishment is the strongest card in this pack by a lot. If the draft was going to end after this pick, I would take Vexing Goal, I think. But we have the whole rest of pack 2 and 3 to fill out our deck with random cheap creatures. So I think we want the good quality removal here. And another pretty bad pack for us. Naiad is playable. Nothing else virtually is. Again, another Punishment. We don't want too much more of this type of effect, but we are looking to draft an aggressive deck. If we punish something and then we draw 2 cards a turn, that's great for us. Nothing wrong with this card. Now we have to decide between Witness and Blessing. I wouldn't mind Blessing to protect my creature with Insight on it. With only 1 Insight, that's not going to come up that often, but we do have the rest of the draft to find Heliod's Pilgrim or Commanding Presence or another Insight. I think we want Witness more right now. I think Blessing could end up better in our deck, but unlike last time, I used this exact same logic. I think 3 or 4 picks later, it's right to take Witness. Omen over nothing. Dominable Will, in case we end up wanting it. Alright, so do we want Flicker of Fate? What can we flick? Can flick Omen. Reset a Punishment. Doesn't look good. I don't think we're going to play Glory Bears. I'll grab it for the sideboard. These cards don't matter. These cards don't matter. So, not going horrible, not going great. Our power level's medium. 14 playables isn't ideal. I mean, we can play Flicker, Indomitable Will, or Glory Bears if we need to. We really need to get some 2-drops. Heliod's Pilgrim would be pretty nice. We can search out, like, the good enchantment, kill, or Insight. So we want Heliod's Pilgrim really badly, and we want 2-drops. Pretty similar to last draft in this position, actually. The trick with Heliod's Punishment is you never want to play this card on turn 2, but if you play it on turn 5, the game will likely end before the creature becomes unpunished. So you try and never play this card on turn 2, but it's a great play on like turn 5 or 6. Well, this pack sucks, but Envoy is exactly what we're looking for, so it could be worse. Of course, we were hoping to draw Open Dream Trawler, Kiora Saga, or Heliod, not Transcendent Envoy, the 5th best white common for us. But it is a cheap flyer. We are playing a lot of auras. It's a good card for our deck. There's nothing else it's competing with. I mean, I would play a Stern Dismissal in this deck, but Envoy we need like a million times more. Again, this is pretty rough. These packs are very unkind to our blue-white deck. Has nothing to do with what's being drafted around us. We opened that pack, and there's been one card taken out of this pack, and it was the rare. Just running kind of bad. How's Hero? We can target it with Insight. That's about it. Pretty bad. Maybe I'll just play Omen. It plays pretty well with counters, and we can use the bodies. All right, Elarios here is a pretty good 3-drop to give us a couple of creatures to be enchanting up. Nothing wrong with this pick. The first two were embarrassing, but this card is pretty good. I need 2-drops badly, but not that badly. I'm going to take Dreadful Apathy over Leonin, but I really hope to table it or at least pick up another 2-drop or 2. Now we can grab that Blessing since it's not over anything. It's a good card in our deck. Still no 2-drops, but at least Thirst for Meaning can help us dig them up. We have a million auras, so pretty useful card for us to get. At this point, I'm going to assume Tower Wave Mystic's going to make the deck because, again, we have, like, no 2-drops. Whoever's hogging up all these 2-drops in these drafts, please stop. Itchy Fisher Blessing. Where's our creature count? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I guess we could just use this number plus the Omen. They canceled Palm Beach. That sucks. That's a GP that's 40 minutes from my house. I mean, I don't blame them. I don't think we should hold mass gatherings like Magic tournaments right now with Corona, but that's sad for me. Okay, I guess we're going to take Itchy Fish. Oh, I got Blessing because it was clicked on, but not a big deal. That was a super close pick. Really need a couple more creatures. Last time the creature count thing wasn't actually real. It just looked like it was a problem because it said 12, but we had the Setter's Cunning and 3 Omens. This time the creature count is actually bad. This deck is bad. This is like a half blue-white control aggro. Just not a good deck at all. We can get Flicker in. We did pick up an Apathy. Flicker Omen for creatures. Flicker Alarios for an extra 3/2. But overall, this deck is quite bad. Yeah, red was probably the color we were supposed to find the most. This is one of the worst decks I've had in this format. I'll probably 3-0, but this deck is garbage. Yeah, blue-white is fine. If you draft what I was trying to draft in this seat, if you draft Staggering Insights and Pilgrims and Flyers and Bounce, blue-white is a nice deck in this format. This deck is just... It just didn't get there. It just didn't get any of the cards. So, we have to cut a few cards. Probably going to play 16 land. Our cards aren't very expensive or powerful. So, we got to cut like 2... We'll see, Crazy Legs. I mean, I probably won't. The deck isn't good, but, you know. Anytime I say my deck's great, we usually lose. Anytime I say it's bad, we usually win because Magic's so high variance. But this deck is not good, regardless of what the final record ends up being. But we do have to cut 2 cards. I think Memory Drain is probably a good first card to cut here. We're not really digging to anything incredible. And we already have Omen and Thirst and Omen. How many 2s do we actually have? 1, 2, 3. Yeah, I mean, Punishment's good as long as you end the game within 4 turns of when you play it. Our deck is not good at that, of course. We could cut Punishment, which sucks, but we really just didn't get enough aggressive creatures. I could also cut Turtle and then just board it in when my opponent's aggro. I mean, I don't think this is a great card to main. Our late game is not very good. I still think we mostly want to just try and get Staggering Insight or Favored or something going. So I think we'll board in Turtle. You can flicker the punishments to reset them. I mean, Flicker has a lot of applications in this deck. I mean, you can flicker the blue or white Omen. You can flicker the Insight if they kill the creature that it's, you know, it's onto a different creature. You can flicker Alarios and get an extra 3/2 reflection. Granted, you're further from untapping it, but you'll get a 3/2 creature out of the deal. Right, we have the 1 Apathy to flicker, which is just hard removal at that point for 5 mana. Basically build your own Final Death. Not a great hand. Not going to mull. Even though we don't have an island, we have a white 4-drop, 3 lands on the play. If we do draw an island, it's a pretty good hand. Then we can Omen of the Sea into these cards, slow them down if we have to. Hopefully we won't have to. Glad we trophied with that last deck, because I am not expecting it. I think I'm only going to do 2 tonight. Like I said, I'm still feeling kind of sick, so I want to only draft while I keep my energy up. But I will be back on tomorrow. Tomorrow, I'm going to try for 3 end ads and chats to end the week in proper fashion. So what did they take? They took Blessing, Punishment, Witness, Glory. Where's my Exile? Oh, they took Omen. I guess they don't want me to dig up any real cards. I can understand that. The worst part about Entrancing Liar is that it turns off your auto yield, since you can always activate it for 0. Nothing we can do about that. Goodbye, Glory Bearers. I guess for now, though, we just want to hit that. I don't really want to play Apathy on it. Remember, you always want to wait as long as you can on Punishment. So at this point, we'll just Liar the goal. Now that's a creature I will Apathy. Let's get that out of here. That's why you save Apathy for something with an ability. You don't want to just Apathy away the goal, because if we Liar the Shepherd, it still stays in play indefinitely. Whereas now we'll remove it when we have the opportunity. So this is interesting. I want to play Witness this turn, but if they kill it, I don't have anything else to protect. So I'm not sure if we should wait for 1 land or not. It's probably right to play it, because they could even have counter spells. I guess we just have to hope it lives. There's not a lot that kills it. Like, if they Mire's Grasp it, I can still Staggering Insight it. If they have Final Death, they can exile it. And I'm not shocked they do. But any creature does work here, so I don't think we really needed to wait on that. Cool. So Now let's play Envoy. No, I'm not going to play the Staggering Insight because I want to spend the 3 mana on the Apathy anyway and get that Nightmare Shepherd out of there. It's a scary card. I just want to get that out of play so that its ability won't ever happen. Alright, that's not too bad for us. That doesn't do a ton. Now, hopefully they don't have a counter. If we resolve this, we're actually looking decent here. Now we can attack, and they can either chump, or we're drawing cards, and we're gaining 2 either way. So now let's see if we can ride 2 cards and 2 life a turn to victory. Well, let's see. If that gives it -3, it's going to become a 0/3. Then they can double block for the free kill, and we can Blessing it and eat the Harpy and live. Or we could Blessing in response, and then they're not going to block it. So I guess that we can't really stop that. And post-combat, now it's time to punish the Witness. The game should end, or even if it doesn't end completely, if we get to draw cards with this for 4 turns, we should win. So we're going to punish the Witness here, and then we still have Blessing up. If they double block, then I'm going to Blessing, kill the Harpy, and then I won't punish the Witness this turn. So this should work. Yeah, we have plenty of toughness and we can kill the Harpy. Which was not great for us, but acceptable. I didn't end up punishing the Witness because we have the second Blessing, and we needed to leave the mana up to protect the Envoy from Final Death or some other removal they could have. So now we can untap that Liar. If we punish this Witness, Liar down this 1/3. Oh, I forgot the Aura costs 1 less. I overtapped by 1. Which does matter, because if we draw a land, we can play Sunmane. But now we can connect with our Envoy. Life is good. Can we turn this game? Who knows? They brick for a turn or 2. It's pretty tough to beat 2 cards a turn. That Witness is going to get freed up eventually, but it's a while from now. I don't think there's a reason to untap the Liar here. I'm not scared of them blocking with the 2/2. We have 2 2/3s. I mean, they could have, like, Starlight Mantle. I guess I have plenty of mana. No, but I'm drawing 2 cards, assuming they didn't top deck anything. And I might draw stuff I want to cast, so I'm not going to untap the Liar. Boo. Threnody Singer number 2. Boo. What a top deck. Now they're winning again. They can eat my creature, and I lose my card drawing engine. This game swung from looking so bad to so good to so bad. Yeah, it was the right line, though. They were empty-handed the turn before. There's no reason to put them on top decking, like, one of very few cards. Starlight Mantle, which maybe they're playing, maybe they're not. Second Threnody Singer and Uncommon. There's so few cards that matter there. And, like, I could very easily just draw 2 spells and want to spend my mana on them. If I knew they had that or even had any reason to suspect it, I would untap the Liar, of course. And I could have tapped one of the blockers, and then I wouldn't have lost my creature. But imagine I just drew 2 spells I wanted to cast. Second goal, but that's not even nearly as bad. But yeah, they could have drawn a second goal also. But again, they were empty-handed. They could have just drawn a land. It's not like they represented these cards the turn before. As usual, play to win, not around obscure possibilities, like, unless you're in a really good position, not a close game. Yeah, their deck looks awesome. Look at this deck. 3 Final Deaths, 2 Singers, all these good flyers. They just milled Thrix, the Sudden Storm. This deck is incredible. Alright, so they've got those 1/3s. What matches up well against them? And a bunch of Final Deaths. So we want... Surge doesn't work. Memory Drain seems okay. Indomitable Will might be good against all those Threnody Singers and Vexing goals. Wings would do nothing. All their creatures fly, and they have a bunch of removal. So the only cards to consider here are Memory Drain and Indomitable Will. Do we have anything bad against them? Stern Dismissal looks horrible. They have removal, and they have Threnody Singers and Flash creatures. We're not looking to bounce anything. Tower Wave Mystic is bad, but I don't know if we can board it out. Maybe. We are on the play, so we could miss our 2-drop. It's not the end of the world. So I think we want the Will, and then we would like Memory Drain against them, I think. We could take out a Punishment. Yeah, their deck's super grindy, and, like, I don't think Punishment's great against them. I agree. Whereas Memory Drain, we can get them. Well, because if they're chumping with the 2/2, that's better for me than tapping it and drawing a card. Granted, if I did that, they could still, like, mantle or other things. If I had untapped it, I would just attack. And then if they like flash in another goal or Singer, I would tap, of course. But again, I think there's substantially more value than playing around them top decking that card that turn than just casting our spells. We only had like 6 lands out. I don't want to sink 2 lands into my Liar. Okay, so should we play or draw? We should probably draw. Their deck's all Final Deaths and Threnody Singers. Nobody's running anybody over in this matchup. Again, don't be results-oriented by what happened. They didn't telegraph that card earlier in the game. They were empty-handed the turn before. The odds are very high they drew a land there, and if not, there's no reason to put like those cards in their hand. But we had 6 lands, and we're drawing 2 cards for the turn, so we don't want to sink 2 mana into the Liar to accomplish nothing except from playing around possible draws. So we don't have any 2-drops, but we have Blue Omen. Nothing to see here. We need lands. We need creatures. We do not need Indomitable Wills right now. If you knew they had nothing, you would definitely rather them chump than draw a card. It's not even close. The reason on tap it would be to play around a few things. Do we want to sack Omen? We don't have any Blue Devotion. We have Flicker, but I think we'll probably get better use out of that. The problem is we're not really looking for anything. I guess we can bottom lands. I mean, we have enough mana to cast our 1/4 drop, and then we can build on it and protect it. So I guess we can bottom lands. And from what we saw last game, it was like all final deaths. So there's not any reason to believe they can kill the Sun main this turn. So again, now we can Staggering Insight it and see if we can ride it to victory or not. That said, I might wait a turn because now that we drew a land, if I Staggering Insight it, I have 3 left. I have to leave up 1 for Blessing, so I can't even cast Favored. Favored plus Staggering Insight is a pretty absurd combo. So I think for now, maybe we just want to play Favored here and hit with the Sun main. I don't need to leave the mana up to protect it before I put Staggering Insight on it. I mean, if they want a Final Death Favored instead of Sun main, cool. Like, who cares? Okay, so the only thing that's problematic now is since neither of my creatures are enchantment creatures or enchanted, I can't just run Staggering Insight because they can Final Death in response, and Blessing won't save it. I need the enchantment on the creature first. But Witness with a wide open looks reasonable. It'll be the biggest creature in play. They can Blessing that, but not a big deal. And I don't mind exchanging blows. I mean, they are not an aggressive deck, and I can gain a bunch of life back with Insight. Boo. So we need the ability to play a land to protect it with Blessing. If we played an Insight and they Final Death, we would Memory Drain, but then they would just on-tap and Final Death potentially or something else. We need one more land before we can make that line, which should happen now. We'll either hopefully get it from our draw step or from the card off Insight. So now, what do we want to do with Insight? We can put it on Favored or Witness. Both look pretty good. If we put it on Witness, we don't get the double strike. But if we put it on Favored this turn, they can block with the Reflection token. Think Witness makes more sense, and then we can still just attack with both. We'll gain 4 up to 10. They've got 4, 7, 10 out, so that's a potential problem. Yeah, I know the Witness can be hexproofed. So if I put it on the Witness, I can't attack with the Favored, though. 4, 8, because they could take it and just on-tap back for lethal. If I put it on the Favored, it is definitely a much scarier threat. Anytime I play an enchantment, it's a 3/3 double strike that gains 6 and draws 2 cards. But they have more ways to block that, potentially. Let's say I put it on the Favored and attack with both. Then I'm out of range for them to on-tap and lethal me. So they chump with the Reflection. I gain 3, I'm at 9. Oh no, they on-tap and they have 9, so that doesn't work really either. I think it's right to put it on the Witness in this spot. It's not perfect, but it's pretty good. Also, if they do go for Final Death, we could always Blessing here, and then we'll get an extra couple points of life. Hexproof, right? So my enchantment's still going to hit. They have 2, 3... How much blue? Final. Can't be countered. Ah! What am I doing? I might have butchered this. I needed to Memory Drain the Stern Dismissal, and then I could Blessing in response. I forgot Thrix made the expensive cards unable to be countered. I can't do anything now, right? I mean, I can flicker it, but then the Insight's not going to land on it. This is bad. Yeah, I punted this little sequence. Most of the other plays that didn't work out well, I think were actually right. But this, I I forgot that, like, with Thrix, I knew Thrix lessened the cost by 1. I knew they could still play Final Death, but I forgot about the can't be countered ability. Yeah, I knew about the reduced casting cost. I was ready for them to Final Death in response. I just thought I was going to memory drain it. And then I saw the text says can't be countered because of Thrix. I punted this. I should have just memory drained the Stern Dismissal, and then I can Blessing in response to the Final Death. And then I get to hit for 6, draw a card, gain life. I could even attack with the Favored, and they'd have to chump. I punted this. Now, is this worth still playing? What can we do? I guess I could top deck removal for Thrix next turn. Sorry about that. We might be in a winning position if they didn't have a second Final Death. I definitely punted that. You can hit the punt counter. I just completely forgot that it made the spells uncounterable. I was thinking about the lessening it by 1 ability, and I wasn't thinking about it making them uncounterable. Yeah, I've never seen that text matter before either. Alright, without Omen, this hand would be pretty rough, but with it, it's a snap keep. We can use Blue Omen, hopefully dig up a Plains, and then we have a pretty good hand, actually. Well, now we have an interesting choice. If our hand had a Plains in it, you would want to save the Omen for later and just put your 2-drop out on turn 2. But we can't cast anything next turn if we don't draw a land, and Tower Wave Mystic is not that strong. So I think we're probably better off using Omen to dig up a land, so we can play our good 3-drop here, Favored, or at least Elurios, which is also quite good. It is a punt, because it's not results-oriented or anything. It's like, I know they have 3 copies of Final Death, and they missed land drops that game. So the odds they have Final Death are super high, and I had 2 interaction, and I sequenced them wrong because I forgot I wouldn't be able to counter Final Death. Obviously, if it didn't make the spell uncounterable, my play would have been right. I want to use the +2/+2 in response to the Dismissal and then memory drain the Final Death. But I completely forgot it would be uncounterable. So that was a total punt. All right, we want both of those. I don't think the order matters. We get both by next turn. Believe me, you know I'll tell you if I think the chat's being results-oriented. That's not the case. That was a complete punt. I simply forgot about the uncounterable text. All right. Not great. They get to kill our Favored and then get a spell out of her hand. That's a pretty rough one for us. I feel like this draft is an example of when it rains, it pours. Like, this deck is not good, but it has ways to win. And, like, they keep having exactly what I don't want them to have. Like, I can't really imagine a worse card for us right now than Elspeth's Nightmare. We have multiple good spells we can't empty out of our hand, and they just killed a near-broken 3-drop, like, in this spot. Okay, so what do we want to do? If we thirst, do we have anything awesome to find? Yes, RK. Yeah, we win that stack if we do it in the other order. They did turn out to have a second Final Death. They ended up Final Deathing Witness on their next turn. But I would have still gotten a hit for 6 and drawn a card. I would have probably lost to the second Final Death. But there's no guarantee they even had 2 Final Deaths, so clearly it's a punt, and then we would have probably lost anyway, but that's not the point. So what do we want to do now, though? I don't think we thirst. I think if we attack with a Reflection Token and play Mystic, we then have Flicker for Alarios to make an additional Reflection on their turn, potentially. If they take Flicker, then they're not taking Apathy or Thirst. I mean, we could play Apathy so they can't take it. I don't necessarily want to apathy any of your creatures that badly right now. I mean, I could apathy, like, the Timurit. I don't think this is the same opponent as last time. We didn't really see, like, any of these 3 cards. They were blue-black, of course. So I think, yeah, I think we just want to add to the board and continue, like, with the aggressive strategy. They're going to take something. There's no way around that. And then we can use Flicker on Illyrios to make an extra 3/2. We probably want to do that here while they're tapped, basically. Because if they kill it in response, we don't get anything. So... Yeah, exactly. I didn't really want to kill either of the creatures in play. I don't think our deck cares very much about Timurit, and I don't want to exile the pony either. So I think the right play is just to make a 3/2 and a 2/1 and continue with the aggressive strategy here. Oh, thanks, Whiskey Man. I do hold myself to high standards. I don't mind punts where, like, I'm distracted or something, because, again, you know, my focus is always on the content, not on, you know, winning, so to speak. But that wasn't that. That was just me forgetting a line of text and missequencing. So that's why I'm happy to call that one just an outrageous punt. Okay, so Aspect is by far the best of the cards here, I think. So what do we want to do? I don't really want to put the Swamp with the Piper, though, because have they played a land this turn? Oh, no, they have played a land this turn, right? Okay, so what we'll do is we'll put the Aspect face up and the other 2 face down, I think. I love this design. This card is so sweet. So for anybody who plays against Atris, you can get fancy and try and out-level people. Aside from that, you generally just want to put the best card by itself. I think I'm going to show them Piper and Swamp, because the face-down card could just be a land. So they're pretty inclined to take Piper and Swamp. And I think Aspect is more scary for me than Swamp and Piper right now. Because I basically can't... Yeah, up is face up. I put the Piper and the Swamp face up on top and the Aspect face down in the bottom, right? Did I mess that up? I wanted to... I figured because... the other one could be a land, so I would want to show them the 2 cards with the Piper and then hide the other one, but... Okay, so we don't really want to block if we're going to attack back, and we have Blessing, and we want to use it because they have Aspect anyway. So yeah, no need to block here. Well, it's not like a land and Piper are just automatically irrelevant, right? Piper blocks these 3/2s. All right, not too much to decide, I think. We can't send the 2/1. We can send the 3/2. If they block, we're happy. If they take it, we're happy. For anybody who didn't get to play with Fact or Fiction back in the day, if you're not ancient like me, it was a real treat. All right, we know they have Aspect, so I'm going to hold the Plains to discard to it. So I don't think there's anything for 1 mana we're really going to play off Thirst. So I think here I'm just going to pass the turn. I don't know if they're going to go for Aspect or not. If they do, then we can Thirst in response. We've got our Plains up for Blessing. Just see what happens. You don't generally want to give your opponent's decisions Wormless unless you need to. Paulo actually wrote about this in one of his good articles, even if your opponent's not that skilled. Now, if there's a lot of value in them making a small mistake, you may go for it. But as a whole, I would generally take the more conservative line. So, of course, we're going to discard the enchantment because we have to discard 2 more cards anyway, and then we can discard all these planes. Making piles is wonderful. It's such a treat. Especially the face-down, face-up aspect. That's the best part. Okay, we can't really block either of those in Blessing unless we want to trade with the Charger. If we do, it'll drop the Timurit to a 2-4, but that doesn't even really help us. We can't really race this Lifelinker, but it has Menace, so we can't block it. So I guess now it's time to switch gears. Don't know what else they have in that bag. I mean, on board, we're not really under pressure. Of course, they still have 3 more cards in hand, but we have some decent stuff in hand, too. So, switch gears now and see what else they got. Thank you, Lasagna Man. Me, you, and Garfield working together. I love lasagna. Appreciate that subscription. Also, thank you, Brendan Morales. Appreciate the subscription. Thank you for the 9 months of support. Okay, so they're attacking with everything. Blue-Black doesn't generally have access to that many tricks in this format. They could have Starlight Mantle. That wouldn't surprise me. So let's try and block in a way that Starlight Mantle doesn't destroy us, if possible. If we do kill this, this will shrink by 2. So if we go Glory Bears here, and then we, like, double block this, that looks pretty good against Mantle. If they Mantle Timurit, it won't kill bears. If they Mantle here, does nothing. If they don't do anything, they lose both creatures, and we lose just a reflection token. Yeah, I like that block. Plus, Underworld Charger is the card I want to kill the least, since it comes back anyway. So this block looks pretty effective. Obviously, they're going to have something, and I don't know what. But I don't really see us getting blown out here. Right, but what are they going to Stern Dismissal? If they Stern Dismissal the Glory Bearers, just to keep the Timurit alive, that it doesn't kill it, it just puts it back in our hand, and the Timurit lives and is blocked. If they Stern Dismissal a Reflection Token, that does nothing. So that block was pretty effective. There wasn't much they could really have her do. Unfortunately, though, we just died to the flyer now, which is sad. I don't think there's anything we can do, though. I can mill myself, but we can't find anything. I guess I mill them just to see cards. Plus, there's some non-zero chance they block. I mean, they shouldn't, of course. We don't have Sleep of the Dead. But we'll mill them and see 2 more cards since this is game 1. And, of course, give them the option to block, which they won't. Okay, so we didn't really see big creatures. Definitely don't want Riptide Turtle or anything against them. I think we're good to go. Hi, Yankee Flash. General rule, AZCVBN. The slower a format, the better flyers generally are. And this format's quite slow. So yes, flyers are excellent in this format. The faster a format, the less effective flyers are, because if your opponent has cheap ground creatures that are aggressive and able to connect turn after turn, flying doesn't really help you. Most games are just a race, and you generally pay a half a mana for a flyer. So the slower the format, the better flyers are. The faster the format, the worse flyers are. That's the kind of stuff I like covered in my Spikes class and stuff like that. And I also talked about that in my article, like how to evaluate cards for Limited. This hand's pretty bad. I mean, we have the Liar. I don't think this is a mulligan. I'm not against it. Like, I might be down to try some Pauper Cube. Not tonight. Like I said, I'm still recovering. Just going to do this 2 drafts and call it a nice short night. But it's definitely something in the future that I'm open to. I'm not in any way against a Pauper Cube like I am a Power Cube. I'm a man of the people. I'm down for the popper. I don't like the power. Alright, milling is irrelevant. We don't care if they mill me or them here. Let's just play a liar. I'll stop making my LSV liar jokes. They're kind of played out now. Still, maybe the funniest thing, though, said in this entire year and a half I've been streaming now is when somebody said that the L in LSV stands for liar, I literally almost fell out of my chair. Yeah, it's pre-recorded. I don't see any reason to cast Apathy into their open mana. Just liar the Mystic and then move along. We lost round 1, and this game's not looking great either. This deck is bad, like I said. I feel like this draft went kind of weird. Blue and white were not the right colors to end up in. But, like, we saw them mid-pack 1. Like, you know, I wasn't forcing them after the Insight. I took Warbriar's Blessing the very next pick. But then the best cards in the pack were blue and white, like, picks 4 and 5. So we just kind of ended up in, like, a blue-white when we weren't seeing it. I mean, to be fair, we did lose to some awesome decks, too. But yeah. So again, I don't really want them to take Timurit. How can I prevent that? I can put, like... I have to put the Timurit face down, so I can just put 2 swamps face up, and then let them choose if they want the spell or the 2 lands, because they don't know it's a spell as good as Timurit. They'll probably take it if they don't need lands, but if they don't have more lands in hand, maybe they'll take the lands. Think we'll leave that tapped. I don't mind apathying on the 3/2 Menace. This way there's no bouncing it or recurring it or anything. Exile it when we get a chance. I do not plan to go back on Arena for Theros draft. I'm not, like, I mean, you know, if they put up human drafts or if they change the best of 3 queue to ranked or to only 3 rounds, but unless there's any changes in the system, I do plan to go back to Arena for the next set. Playing with the new cards before we know them on Magic Online would be pretty tough without the overlays and all of that, I think. But I do not plan to go back on Arena for Theros unless there's changes to what I consider the detriments of Arena, which are not having humans, not having ranked best of 3, and the best of 3 queue just takes like an hour and a half. I think they would almost certainly take Timurit over 2 face-down cards. But yes, you could definitely consider that Antis Rider. Oh, they're getting rid of my apathy. I didn't even know what they were doing. I was like, they're really edicting this Mystic. That's an aggressive play just to hit me for 2. Alright, they've got a bunch of stuff that comes back from the yard, but we might actually end up decking them. So I'm not actually sure who to mill. I mean, we're definitely going to block, and then we can untap the Liar. I think I'm going to mill them, just viewing decking as a possible win condition. Because they're down to 15 cards already, and I'm not under much pressure. Guess I actually don't even need to untap the Liar because I have Itchy Fish. Just slap Itchy Fish on their 3/2. So Envoy first. Because it lowers the cost of the fish. We were trying to be aggressive, but I can't really say that we succeeded. Thanks, Vilk City. Appreciate it. All right, we're not in chump block mode yet. So, are we going to spend our mana, or should we untap the Liar? I mean, the 2/1 is being stopped by the 1/2, but the 1/2 can also just trade with the Piper. We want to Stern Dismissal the token. And then we can cast like Punishments or Thirst. I think we don't untap yet. Start by thirsting. We can discard that Omen or a punishment. See what we draw. Yeah, I definitely want to discard the Omen. Punishment's not good, but it's not actually that bad here. Because we're mostly now, like I said, trying to deck them. Envoy plus Blessing means we can take out something bigger, but... Oh, yeah, it'll have Indestructible, so that we can take out the Venomous Hierophant if they don't have anything. Stern Dismissal for the zombie token, so I'm going to pass to the opponent. The primary plan to victory now is to deck them. Don't know if we'll succeed or not. They're at 10 cards left in their deck. They haven't actually used that many lands, but they did mill a decent chunk. 4, 5, 6, 12. So they probably have about 5 or 6 spells left that we have to beat, plus the board. Not saying this is going well, because it's not. But we're not as far behind on board, I think, as it looks. Although I guess I do have to respond to that with Blessing, unfortunately. That said, if they don't have anything else, this fogs their whole turn, basically. I mean, if we dismissal the Hierophant, we might kill a 3-3 instead of a 2-2 if they don't replay it. But they could also replay it. Think we're better off dismissing away that zombie token. Now we don't have much to do with our mana. These punishments only even cost 1, so let's untap that. As I say that, of course, we draw a 4-drop. You do want to wait as long as you can on the punishments, but I think punishing the tap creature here almost has to be right. It's going to be tough to beat the Sleep of the Dead here, too. How many cards do you have to exile? 3? Yeah, they're going to be able to tap our blockers for the rest of this game pretty well. So I think punish this tap 3-2, and then we'll Lyre up the Hierophant. If Stern Dismissal, like, you know, made them mill 3 more cards on the Hierophant, I would have likely bounced it. But, I mean, they could always choose not to cast it again. So then we're only killing a 1/1 bigger than a 2/2, and we're giving them the option. Okay, that doesn't super scare me. I don't love that. So if I punish the Chimera, it's not going well, but I don't have mana to sink into the Lyre. So we have to punish the Chimera to not just be completely dead. I mean, we're dead to that Sleep of the Dead, but again, whatever, we'll make them use it. Definitely didn't run well or play well in these 2 rounds, but this deck was quite bad, like I said. This is one of the worst draft decks I think I've had in this format. The Boros deck was really nice. Like, Boros was wide open. We found the open colors, and we got rewarded with a nice 3-0. This deck was just not good. This was just a tough seat. I don't think blue and white were what I was supposed to draft, but I do think it was hard to get out of it. But I agree with somebody in the chat who said red-green was the best deck I could have drafted in this seat. Nah, I'm just going to call it a night. I'm sorry for the short nights for anybody who's been around for the whole 3 hours tonight. I know it's short. Like I said, I'm getting over a cold and all that. I do appreciate everybody hanging out. I'll be back on tomorrow. I'm going to go for 3 drafts and ads and chats tomorrow to end the week, back in style. O2ing isn't fun, but that deck sucked. We did trophy the previous draft with a pretty nice Boros deck. So if you want to see a good deck in a draft where we 3-0 and win some good games, then you can always check out that first draft.